Howdy.
Let's start the show.
Not bad, Mike. It's good to be here. Can't wait to see some great StarCraft. As the resident Protoss player, it's definitely going to be Disc. To be honest, I even though I'm from NA, I don't watch as much North American StarCraft as I would like to, which is part of why I'm so excited for this tournament. Um, Obviously, I know Starkiller is the biggest name in that group as far as I know. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. But honestly, just any Protoss games is going to be the thing that I'm most excited about. But TVZ is always great as well. Right. This is the great thing about um, running your own tournament. You know, it's everything moves at your pace, man. It's all right. Don't worry.
How come we can't hear Mike, Tim Boyd? Because he's a dummy and didn't put his mic onto the sources, so you should be able to hear him now. This is how people must feel on their wedding day. Exactly. Just more nervous than I could ever be on my wedding day.
This
Posting.
is a bigger deal than a wedding, dude. I mean, there's StarCraft happening here. I don't know about you. There wasn't a lot of StarCraft at my wedding.
That's the only way you could have made it better, in my opinion.
Actually, I did live stream my wedding because my wife's mother was sick at the time, and she wasn't able to come across the ocean to watch it because it was in Canada, and they're from the UK. So we streamed it on Twitch because that was the only way I could figure out how to do it. And so we got so many trolls in the chat being like, "Why is this guy streaming his wedding?"
Did you? That is so awesome, actually. That is like the coolest way to actually solve that problem. And look at that.
Yeah,
Look at that. The NSAL sound guy. He's in this. He's controlling the sound. The NSAL sound guy. There we go. We got it figured out. Both cameras working. Both casters ready to go. We're just waiting for our players to check in. Starkiller's already kicking around. We're just waiting for his opponent, which will be Skylar today. Now, have you watched any Skylar at all? Have you seen the stream, Top Gun stream?
no, I haven't. To be honest, of all these players, he's the one I know the least. So I don't think I've ever seen Skylar play. So I take it he's an up and coming Terran player from North America. What's his play style like?
So he's one of the reasons I'm really excited for this group because I think we're gonna get some pretty crazy Fiesta type games out of him. Is my sound really still? It can't be muted still. No, it's not. We're just on the delay still. But so with Skylar, for like I think it was like 2 years straight, he only proxy rack streapered.
Oh my god, every single matchup?
Yeah. So
I like it.
recently, that has not been the case. Recently, if you've turned into a stream, he actually has a lot of very funny timing attacks and pushes that he does that are very interesting. Very you wouldn't expect them. Like kind of like the stuff that I was kind of showing you with TVP with some early attacks. Some very
Yeah.
very cool stuff. So I'm really excited to see what he brings to the table, especially against Starkiller in the first round, because Starkiller is also known for being a very cheesy boy himself. So I would
He's
really
also
love.
known for being a complete beast as well, though, isn't he? Because isn't he the one who's won like 20 pizzas or something in the pizza pie bi-weekly?
He
Definitely got a lot
absolutely
of tournament
has.
experience.
He is the
Um,
pizza man.
Now, will we be offering him an additional pizza if he wins this tournament, or is it just going to be the money?
You know what? If he wins this tournament, I'll buy him a pizza. I will 100% buy him a pizza.
I think
I'll
if he
add that
knows
on
that, he'll
top.
play a lot better.
We gotta fuel this boy somehow. He's gonna be potentially playing today and all day Sunday, and Sunday's gonna be a long day, guys. It's gonna be a lot of StarCraft. We start off with the top 8 players, and those are all gonna be best of fives, and then we're gonna get into the quarterfinals, which will all be best of sevens, I believe. They might also be best of fives, and then we get to the semifinals, which are for sure best of sevens, and the finals, which are going to be a best of 9. And I'm really excited for the best of 9 format because it's something that I don't think you really see anymore in any tournaments. I don't think players really do anything with the best of 9, which, because there's only 7 maps in the map pool unless you have 2 put aside. But we have a pretty cool way that we're going to do that. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there Sunday, talk more about that. I'm really excited to see that. I think that'd be really cool to see a 9-game final series. And yeah, we got $1,000 up for grabs for all of these players. So very, very cool stakes here, and a pizza for one player if he wins.
Yeah, and I think doing the best of 9 also it kind of saves you against, well, it could go either way, but it saves you against a really really short cheesy finals if we get like a 4-0 in the finals or whatever. So even if there's some cheeser that gets through, they're still gonna have to play best of 9. They're still gonna have
Oh
to win
yeah,
5 times.
yeah, exactly. You can't possibly win with a cheese in 2 best of sevens and a best of 9. You can't possibly do it, right?
I
Eventually,
think that's
someone's
asking a
gonna
lot.
catch on.
Yeah, and either way, we're gonna get a lot of StarCraft no matter what. So might be up till 4 in the morning, but we're gonna get a lot of StarCraft. So nothing to complain about.
Oh yes, I hope it's not 4 in the morning because we're starting at 11 a.m. on Sunday. So even
Might be
though
4 in the morning for me, but
oh yeah, we might be going late for you, but I think we might have some other casters that might be able to help out on that day as well. So, if you got to go for being too tired or it's too late, the wife's getting mad at you because, you've been playing StarCraft or watching StarCraft all day, every day for 4 days, then, you can go take care of business.
yeah, she has the patience of Job. So I think we'll be all right on that front. But it'll be a few weeks of no StarCraft, I think, after this one.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so our first match is gonna be Starkiller against Skylar. Wow, I just had a little bit of a brain fart there. Starkiller and Skylar. We're still waiting for Skylar to join the lobby. Once he is available, then we'll be getting ready to go. We are actually at the check-in time now, 10:46. So we should be seeing him very soon. Also, we just got a gift bomb of 5 subs from TJ. Oh, no, sorry. Gifted to 1 sub to Wes Weber, 5 emotes share. That's what it was that I saw. So thank you, TJ, for the subs. I know you subbed yourself as well, but thanks for spreading the love. It's pretty awesome, guys. To get some subs and some follows from this helps me put on products like this, little productions and content additions. Anything that gets put into this channel ends up coming back into it, whether it's me upgrading equipment, making some new videos, putting on a tournament, getting awesome casters like my university friend who lives overseas. It's all going back into this community, which is awesome, and I'm really really excited to get involved more with this community that I really love.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that, and it's it's the kind of thing that I think the North American scene needs more than anything. You know, like it's it's so nice to see just grassroots community events. I think this is how StarCraft has survived as long as it has, and this is a perfect example of just a pure-hearted tournament that's going to just lead to some fun all around and some great games.
That's right. That's right. There's so many things when you look at grassroots events, things like Cranky Ducklings, the Pizza Pie Cup, and or whatever it's called. Is it the Pizza Pie Cup?
Pizza Pie bi-weekly?
Yeah, and you know the Magic Carp Masters tournament, which yours truly just won, made a whole $15 off that bad boy. So I'm something of a StarCraft champion myself. I know a little bit of what I'm talking about when it comes to what these players are going to be playing for and what the stakes are going to be like.
Yeah, I was gonna say most of these tournaments are very, very small prize pool because I think we haven't yet found the minimum amount that pro players will actually enter a tournament for. So you've way overshot it for sure, which is going to be a nice change for them. It's hopefully going to make it more worth their time, and it's going to make them less likely to throw their games or whatever. They're gonna I think they're really gonna put their heart into it because this is a quite a big deal for a tournament.
I'd like to think so. I mean, like you said, there's no minimum amount that players won't play for. So you know, when I'm watching other tournaments, you see like things that are like small weekly cups that have, you know, anywhere between $10 and $100 for their prize pools, or even bi-weeklies with the same or similar prize pools. And you see a lot of big names in there. You see guys like Parting that is literally just probably going through every single, just scrolling through every single tournament on Team Liquid and clicking join and joining anything and everything to try and win as much as possible before he gets into GSL. But you know, I'm sure there's a lot of other pros that do the same thing. I know I've seen Mana playing in a lot of things, a lot of EU players just kind of doing the same thing, going through and yeah, just signing up for everything and anything. So I figured with the $1,000 prize pool that we can, you know, really incentivize the players to come in, show their best games, and do what they can to, you know, do their best and win this. I think it's you know, $500 to the winner. And then I believe it's, you know, 40, 25, 20 or something like that. I don't know, I'm bad at math, so something along those lines.
Yeah, but either way, it's going to be something that's more than worth it for them. And I think we're going to see more and more of this in the current climate that we're in right now. So many things are online. This is one of the most prestigious, most worth it tournaments going on right now. There's no live events to compete with. Like, this is it, guys. We're doing online stuff. This is local to North America, so there's no lag, there's no excuses. It's just the best of the best in North America and seeing what they've got to offer. And it's what more can you ask for?
Exactly. Exactly. That's one thing too. It's all North American players, so we're giving a lot of love to our excuse me. We're giving a lot of love to our North American brothers here and sisters, which is exciting to see. You know, people sometimes complain, "Oh, Parting just wins everything because he signs up for everything," but you know, now we got something that's exclusive to the NA scene, and you know, I kind of missed the old NASL days, and I'm really excited to be able to, no matter what, crown a North American champion.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think this is the great thing about a grassroots scene is that there's this discussion going on over how should WCS be run. I guess it's not really WCS anymore, but how should these big tournament organizers run their tournaments? Do we want things to be international? Do we want things to be local to North America, et cetera, et cetera? And because you're not affiliated with any of those massive corporations, you can do whatever you want. And this feels right. You know, this feels, it's just, we want to encourage North American StarCraft, so let's do it.
Hell to the yes. It's awesome. And we're getting some more gifted subs from Tim Boyd. I think he also subbed himself at the very start of the stream, and another sub from NYK Spencer showing some love. So thank you very much, guys, for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it, guys. Much love. We got 9 minutes until we hope to be into game one. We're giving Top Gun right up until 11 o'clock. That is the official start time for the Misery Cup. So we're, you know, it says he's been offline. He's on my friends list. He's been offline for 9 hours. We're hoping he got 9 sweet hours of sleep, and then maybe, you know, an extra half an hour to freshen up, shower, you know, take that quick dump when you wake up. So you know, you have your coffee, get rid of that out of your system, and get ready to go. You know.
He's hopefully his morning routine involves kicking some ass on the StarCraft tournaments.
Yes, because I want to see Terrans win. I don't want to see all the Terrans win, because then we would just have TVT over and over again, which I guess, I could cast all right because I have an okay understanding of the Terran matchups compared to the others. I'm really happy I have a Protoss co-caster who can shed some light on the Protoss matchups. When we get to a ZVZ game, we can both just kind of sit here confused and wonder why one player's Banelings did better than the other player's Banelings or Roaches, etc. So
Yeah, this is where I am glad that I've been playing a lot more of the other races recently. I think my Terran has gotten a lot better, so I feel a little more comfortable. But yeah, like you said, ZVZ. I'm gonna put my cards on the table, man. I do 12 pool gas. I go like 12-12 or 12-11 gas Baneling all in every single game in ZVZ. Because I have no idea what's going on in the mid game. But it's anyone's guess, and I think as long as we know a little bit more than the viewers, we should be all right.
yeah, exactly. We can talk about some other things too, like how friggin' hot it is now that we're into June, and events that
Yeah,
are
how
still
your day's
happening.
going.
Yeah, my sound not being good, and how it's basically confirmed that I'm the NASL sound guy. That's what chat's saying, that they finally know who it is, because I was muted for the first whatever minutes of the stream while I was welcoming people. So yeah, that's awesome.
I don't mean to stoke that conspiracy theory, but I was at the NASL when there was the NASL sound guy incident, and I did not see you in the crowd. So I've never seen you and the NASL sound guy in the same room at the same time. So I'm not going to confirm that, but I'm also not going to deny it.
Well, I appreciate you not confirming it, because that would be something else to throw on the reputation there that might not be good. I'm already known as quite a miserable person, and there's some times when I'm on ladder and people are like, "Wow, it's you. This is how I feel every time I play against you because you do blah 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 blah." And then I'm like, "Oh, well, that's sad because I try to play standard most of the time."
I think if your opponents are saying that you make them miserable, that is a compliment in a roundabout way. That's actually what you should be aiming for. So don't feel bad, man. That's what you want.
Yeah, you know what? Artosis gave me the greatest idea for the next Miserable Cup. Did you see it on the Pylon show?
I did actually. I just listened to that yesterday. So I was gonna actually ask you about that. Is that the direction that we're gonna go? Or can we confirm? I heard this rumor that we're gonna just make the
We're
players miserable and interview the losers.
just gonna bully the losers and interview them? No, so that's the idea for the next one. This one's gonna be a little bit more professional esque, as professional esque as I can go, and we'll be asking some legitimate interview questions to the winners, not the losers. We don't want to make them feel bad this first time around. We want them to come back and play again, essentially.
Yeah, we want to lull them into a false sense of security so that they come around and we can do the big prank on the next one. I appreciate that. That's very smart.
Yeah, you know what? We get them in, we hook them in with that $1,000 prize pool. We have a lot of fun. We ask some fun interview questions. We get some good games. And then when Misery Cup 2 Electric Boogaloo comes around, then we do the Artosis thing where we just bully the losers. We ask them questions that Twitch chat thinks of. Stupid things like, "Hey, why do you think you lost that fight? It looked like you were playing really well there. Maybe if you built more ghosts, you would have won that game." And all that kind of stuff. So we'll
the most triggering questions
yeah,
possible. I think everyone would appreciate one tournament a year like that.
absolutely. And if I can do something that kind of separates us from the rest, that would be pretty awesome. And yeah, I think it'd be pretty sweet to do something like that. And when I saw that on the Pylon show, I got a really good laugh out of it, because it seemed like they were all pretty into it, and it was really neat to see them kind of like talking about all the other tournaments in the small cups and being like, "Oh yeah, this is the info for it." And then they just read the name, the Miserable Cup, and Artosis tried to just guess what it was before reading into it. And he's like, "Oh, I'd have them play on the worst maps. I'm gonna ask them the most triggering questions after the interviews. We're only gonna interview the losers." So That's what you thought it was.
So,
And
sorry,
everyone
Mike. I
got a
gotta be
good
right
laugh.
back. I got someone at the door. I'll
Oh
I'll be
yeah,
right
take
back.
care of business, man. He's gonna think you look pretty funny in that suit jacket over the t-shirt, but that's all right. Welcome everyone. We're almost ready to start the Miserable Cup. The first one. Gift in a tier sub again. Lunar SE, thank you so much, man. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're just waiting on our last player from the group, and that will get us started. Sadly, he is in the first matchup, so hopefully he gets here soon so that we can get this show on the road, get the excellent games coming your way, because I think there will be some pretty good ones.
All right. Sorry about that. I am back.
Not a problem, sir. Welcome back. All good?
Yep, all good. It's just a package. I think it's my a package for my wife for her birthday from one of her friends. Her friend messaged me
Oh,
yesterday and said, "When the package comes, make sure you hide it." And I'm like, "All right." Feel a bit
so
like a spy, but
it's
that's
in a
fine.
safe place.
Yeah,
Everything is hidden.
it's stashed away.
Perfect. All right, so we have 2 minutes to go until Skylar needs to be here. If Skylar is not here in 2 minutes, what we will do is we will just play the second round matchup, which will be, or not second round, but the second, yeah, I guess we'll call it the second round matchup. We'll call it that. It's Disc versus Silky. Both of them are here and ready. So if Skylar is not here, then we'll just go to the second match.
Yeah,
But we'll
sounds
give
good.
them
It's
the,
nice that
we'll give them
they're
the 2
showing up
minutes.
nice and early.
Yeah, I really do appreciate the players being here early, being checked in on time. That really does make things run very smoothly. So it's very nice to see everyone here. And you know, Skylar's not included in that right now, so we're gonna tell him that he's a dick for not showing up on time. But doesn't mean we
Yeah,
can't
maybe
get
they're
started.
gonna
With
make
round
maybe
two.
they're gonna make you miserable to live up to the name.
Yeah. Joke's on you. We're all gonna show up 20 minutes late, and then you're gonna have to talk to chat for, you know, however long, and keep talking about things while you've had no sleep because you worked all night.
Very kind of them. It's their preemptive strike because they heard what your tournament was gonna be like.
Yeah, exactly. They also watched the Pylon show and they were afraid. So, yeah. What we'll do, I'm just gonna respond to them in the chat. We'll go with the second match. We all love the Miserable Show. Can we call it that? Should I start a podcast, Dan? I think there's enough of those for StarCraft, isn't there?
I mean, there's I don't think you can ever have enough. We've got only 2 that I know of.
I know there's the
Um,
Pylon Show. There's the
Pylon show.
the Tasteless podcast.
Yeah, but the Tasteless podcast isn't really a StarCraft podcast.
No, does he? I've actually never tuned into his, so I don't know for sure what it's about.
I'm a bit of a religious listener of the Tasteless podcast. He
Oh,
does interviews with people from all sorts of games, so fighting games, MOBAs, etc. Just people who are in the games industry in general, and sometimes it's related to StarCraft, but actually for the most part, he's kind of a renaissance man.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Actually, that's very interesting. That's something I might want to check out actually, because it's nice to have a little bit of variety in your life. You know, it's the spice of life. Necro does a French StarCraft podcast. I've actually seen that on his Discord a lot. He has done. I haven't tuned into it because I'm not French, but I've seen him post the links for it. So, if you're French and in the community, you should check that out.
I wonder what that one's called. Is it La Chaux de Pilon, or what's the name of the French one?
Show de Pilon. I like that. All right, so I'm just talking to the admins right now. And I think we're going to get started with match number 2 because we're now at 11:01 and we want to get started here. This is Silky saying this is inhumane.
Yeah, Silky is ready to go.
All right. Admins are adding everyone. going to be getting started with match number 2. That's right, we're starting with match 2, not match 1, because we're missing Skylar still. But this should be able to kill some time. If Skylar still is not here after a lot of this is done, or after this series is done, then we might have to consider disqualifying him from the tournament. I wouldn't.
Yeah, hopefully it won't
that.
come to that, but you've got to make lemonade, don't you? He might have something real important come up, so you never know.
Exactly. We have to give people the benefit of the doubt for sure.
It's actually nice for me because so it's gonna be you said Disc and Silky to start off with.
I believe that is it. Yes, Silky and Disc.
All right, so we'll start off with a PVZ, which is going to be very exciting for me because I just finished my stream with my ladder session, getting a Roach Ravager all in that I literally have no idea how to beat, and let's see if Disc can show us how to beat them.
I could not tell you. I would guess that the new battery would play a good role in that, but I don't know for sure because I was actually watching that game too, and it looked like you were gonna hold it, but then I saw your Warp Prism wasn't with the rest of your units, and I was like, oh, he could be juggling things like the Archon and the Immortals, but he wasn't juggling things.
Yeah, so. I thought I brought it back, so I wonder what I did there. It was who knows. I think if I were to have like one more Archon, you know what I mean? One more Archon that makes all the difference, but sometimes you just the stars align and you just fall apart, and that's kind of what happens when I get pressured in PvZ.
You know what? StarCraft 2 is a hard game, and sometimes I just get killed by like 10 Blink Stalkers, or 10 Mutalisks, or 10 of any really fast mobile units running around my base.
Pick you apart. Yeah.
Sometimes a Nidus Worm pops up and I don't have my sound on, so I don't hear it. And then, 10 Queens and 20 Roaches show up in my main. I'm like, oh, those are here.
Yeah, but for every game that I lose, I probably win 2 doing something like that. So I think in the end, it's just karma. Like, it's just coming back to get me, where I'm like, I do a lot of builds where I just do a timing attack and it usually wins. So that's it's only fair that I lose to a timing attack. I'm much better at attacking than defending.
Exactly. You know what? The Ladder Gods giveth and the Ladder Gods taketh away at a game just early in the season in that tournament where I did that TY proxy racks and then float into the Protoss main with the Tech Labs and building Marauders on what's that map called? Everdream. So it was pretty cool. I got to trap the Marauder in between the barracks too, so the probes couldn't attack it. So he protected any other Marauders from popping out. And the best part about that was he was cannon rushing me. He couldn't afford to cannon rush me because he had to build things at home to defend the Marauders. So it was.
Oh, that's one of the most hard counters I could have you could imagine.
Yeah.
You have someone you're doing basically a Terran cannon rush. It's just better.
Exactly. It was beautiful. It was very fun, and I'll probably never do it again unless I'm in a tournament situation. But yeah, it was a good time. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, well played. Well played.
All right, we are missing our observer, so I'm going to send him an invite now. I don't know how we're missing him. All right, I think our players are almost ready. I'll just write real quick. Players, we have 1 5-minute break each if needed today. Both ready? They might be typing in the lobby. Did they both ready in the lobby? They did. Go. All right, we got game 1 on the way. Are you excited?
I couldn't be more excited, man. We're starting off with a PVZ, and it's some of the best North American PVZ there could possibly be, so I'm very pumped. His opponent in the bottom left-hand corner of Ice and Chrome LE, we have the blue Zerg known as Silky. Oh, that's the same team as you, isn't it, Mike? Hey, man, you're on the team. You're on the team. You're on A team. Yeah, it's interesting that he didn't scout after the pylon. I know it's very common to do a very early pylon and then go to try and block the hatchery, but it looks like he's gonna go for the gateway scout variant, which obviously a little bit more economical, but does lead me to believe it's less likely to be that adept attack because the bases are less likely to be split. Makes that a little bit harder, but never know. Of course, we'll be looking to see the impact of this recent balance patch on the PvZ matchup. Obviously, the battery overcharge ability being really crucial and potentially holding really strong third base pushes. It's obviously meant to be a targeted PvP change, but I know that it's going to be pretty strong in PvZ as well. Some of those Roach Ravager timing attacks, things like that, it's going to help with everything. So maybe the map being a little bit harder to hold your third, it might be balanced out a little bit by that battery overcharge, but it's anyone's guess. No problem. So a few Zerglings are moving out. They're going to look to just scout at the front of the Protoss base. They were looking to potentially run by, but since the Stalker's in that aggressive position, he's actually going to get the kill on one of them before the other retreats. He is sending 2 more, though, so he really wants to get the scout off without sacrificing that Overlord. But he only has 1 Overlord in the sort of peat pillar position there to watch things, so there's a good chance here that actually Disc is going to be able to hide his tech here, which is going to be in a Glaive Adept attack. So mentioned that might be a little bit less likely here, but he is going to go for it nonetheless. He's got his Robo on the way, so it should be a Glaive Adept attack, but we don't know how committed it's going to be just yet.
Yeah, and I think this got very popular in Korea in the last of GSL. I think it was Zest that was doing this, and then a version that involved Dark Templar and making it look like you were doing a glaive all-in or a big glaive attack. So I'm really excited to see how this works now with all the new changes. The queens are going to have less range to target down a Warp Prism if there's a Warp Prism involved, which, yeah, there is one being chronoed out right now. And gateways will be finishing up shortly, probably around the same time this Warp Prism actually gets finished. And then if he keeps chronoing out the glaive upgrade, he should be all set for this timing attack.
Yeah, and we don't see any roaches in production just yet. We do see a spore and more drones, which is obviously not going to be ideal. He still has a little bit of time, but it's going to be very difficult to hold this if you're only using Zerglings. So it's a little bit of a vulnerability. 12 Zerglings in production, actually. He's going to spot the move out, which is going to help a lot.
Yeah, the Lings will help for a little while, but I think he definitely needs to be adding roaches. I think the Roach Warren is a little bit late here. I think these Glaive Adepts are looking pretty scary. He's already warping in 8 of them, and with just Queens and a small pack of Zerglings, it's going to be tough to handle this. And now they're going to shade forward in towards the main base. They don't complete the shade, and instead hang out with the Warp Prism with just not wanting to commit too far. I guess he hasn't seen whether or not the Roach Warren is done. But if he knew that it wasn't done, I think he would have completed that shade.
Yeah, he's just posturing just at the moment now, forcing out lots of lings, and now the roaches are in production, so obviously the timing window of this starts to decline the more and more roaches there are. There is a spine and 4 queens at the third base, which is going to make it hard to commit to a shade. Looks like he's going to go for it anyway, and he gets a few kills, but the focus fire on the queens is pretty good, getting a few of the adepts. The drone's being pulled back. Now the zerglings are joining, and it looks like this is pretty cleaned up easily for Silky here.
Yeah, you know what? Silky cleans it up, gets rid of most of the adepts, and only loses 5 drones in the process. So I think the big key here, though, is that a lot of units were forced out. There are a ton of zerglings out right now. We have 36 on the map and 7 roaches. So we're going to see a big counterattack at this third base. There's no way this third base finishes.
Yeah, so the advantage is he does have the adepts there, but there's no shield battery warped in just yet. He's warping in a few adepts in the crack there, but I think with a focus fire on this Nexus, it's just going to go down. He's going to have to cancel it.
Yeah. Yeah, and now Disc having to play on the defensive, throwing down extra buildings at his wall of his natural. He is going to have a forge finishing, so we'll probably see a quick +1 upgrade to be added to his adepts, but now he's kind of stuck on this gateway and twilight tech, and it's gonna be very difficult, I think, for him to kind of catch up economically to Silky now, with Silky having so much map control with those zerglings.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, because obviously Silky did cut quite a few drones early on to get that, but now that Silky is taking his 4th base faster than the Protoss is taking his 3rd, he's got quite a healthy drone count now, going up to 65 workers, and really Disc is in the dark right now. He's trying to scout with the Phoenix and these 2 adepts poking in, but he doesn't really know what kind of mid-game tech he's up against here, so this is a very dangerous spot to be in as a Protoss player.
Yes, it is. 2 glaives are going to finish, or 2 glaive adepts are going to finish into the natural. You're going to get 3 drones and get a little bit of scouting done, as long as these roaches don't clean it up. Ooh, they do clean it up before the adept gets in, but he does have a Phoenix scouting around the main, so he does see the tech, and he's going to see that Baneling Nest finishing in. Double Stargate, guys. Double Stargate coming down from our Protoss. Disc not messing around, making a huge tech switch. He's already got a sizable ground force that can deal with the Ling Roach army. He's got, you know, some Immortals, some Sentries for force fielding. I don't know if this is actually going to be able to hold, though, if there's a big Baneling attack. It's gonna be hard, I think, for Disc.
Yeah, I think Disc going for the double Stargate is actually a pretty intelligent play right now. He knows he's behind overall in the game, so he's going to be stuck on 3 bases for a while. He might as well be teching to something really scary, and if he's able to take advantage of these and sort of create a carrier switch without his opponent realizing it, it will be a great position for him to be pushing out onto that 5th base of the Zerg and taking a 4th of his own, but you can't help but you can't help but notice that this is a vulnerable spot for him to be in.
Yeah, I think you're right about, you know, seeing that, reading the situation correctly. He's not going to be taking a 4th really anytime soon, and he can see everything that his opponent's doing now with the glaive adepts, with the fake Phoenix, and I don't think Silky's really going to be expecting it. Double Stargate after seeing the Robo, the Twilight, all the different upgrades he's getting from the Twilight Council. You know, you'd be thinking, okay, this is going to be a very heavy gateway army, maybe a push with a couple of Immortals and a Prism, but for him to be going double Stargate, that's kind of like the big brain play, or like setting up for the super late game.
Big worry, though, that going for that means you're skipping the Archons, which is going to be what lets you trade against all of those mid-game Zerg units on the ground. So if the carriers don't have those upgrades and they get completely rushed by the Banelings and Ravagers with their AoE, they might not have a chance, and the ground army might get completely wiped out here. So it's definitely a tenuous situation before you get that critical mass of carriers.
Yeah, we have a big engagement happening while a Baneling run by is setting up for the natural. Those Banelings are going to come into the natural base and take down the wall, and now we got, okay, only 4 Banelings are going to get into the mineral line. That does a lot of damage, but on the main front, Ling's getting in on all the units, and these Ravagers and Lings are going to break down the force fields and try to get a lot of damage on extra. The shield battery with its new ability starts up, and now the Ling's trying to kill as many probes as possible while Immortals and Sentries are fighting the Ravagers. I think Disc is actually winning, getting the better trade here. That shield battery doing a lot of work in the mineral line, not really losing any workers during that, except for in the natural with the Baneling run by. So he loses 14 total. I think about 10 of those were from the natural with the Banelings.
And there was a little run by to the 5th base of Silky. I think it got a few workers, but not too much. It's nice to see that Disc is finding the time to do this little Warp Prism harassment on the side, even though he's defending for all his life is worth at his 3rd base. So it looks like he's going to go for a big attack here off of only 3 bases. So it looks like he's thinking this is going to be a great time for him to attack. He does have a very strong army composition, but this Colossus getting caught out, and the second one potentially as well. This could be very dangerous.
Yeah, maybe just overstepping a little bit, loses that Colossus for you. That's such a big deal. Only on 3 bases. He does not have the economy really, and he saves the second one from a surround with the Zerglings, but this is pretty scary, and the Zerg doesn't really have his ultimate tech yet. He's working towards Greater Spire. I think once that happens, there's already some Corruptors on the field, and Silky will be able to get those Broodlords out. And once Broodlords are out, this gateway-based army of mostly Stalkers, a few Sentries and Immortals, I think that it just gets shut right down once the Broodlords hit the field.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure what's going on with the Stargates from Disc because he hasn't actually used them. I'm not sure if he was faking a transition to force Disc into creating Corruptors or something like that, but at the moment, this is just looking like a completely gateway-based army, and like you said, this is looking like his timing is going to be limited here, but this is looking to be a good engagement here. The Blink Stalker's being so versatile against that army with nice force fields. He is starting to segment it. Nice fight so far from Disc.
Yeah, he is taking good trades when he can, but another Baneling run by going through and getting into the natural and the main base, killing a lot of probes. We got 8 for sure dead. Now another 2 more go down, so 10 total probes. If we go to units lost, we've lost 26 total probes. That is as tough as a Protoss.
Yeah, you're basically in the situation now of facing here. It's like a campaign mission, right? You don't quite have the resources. You just need to be defending waves and waves of Zerg. So this is where Zerg realizes they have the overwhelming economic advantage. They can hammer on this Protoss 4th base, and it's really just a 3-base Protoss versus a 5-base Zerg at this point. Silky even taking a base on the other side of the map completely. I'm not going to call it a BM base, but this is a very aggressive positioning for the 6th base.
Yeah, this is Silky asserting his map dominance. Look at those Banelings. There's still no Templar Archives finished yet, so the Storm is so far away, and Colossus are not going to cut it against Banelings. They don't have the light tag, so those Banelings are not going to die very fast. There's going to be some godlike blink micro needed or force fields. Otherwise, I think those Banelings here are just going to ruin everything that Disc has planned here in the late game. He is starting to research Storm now and getting a few Archons, so he's kind of getting that like old school Protoss death ball of Stalker, Colossus, Zealot, Archon. But again, once Broodlords hit the field, there's already some Corruptors out. Lots of Banelings here. I don't see Silky taking a ton of damage in a like a big engagement right now. I think in a one-on-one fight here with that huge economy, like if we look at the bank, it's 3k 1k versus 600 1000. It's a very
Never
highly
underestimate the power of Protoss though, Mike. With a couple of good storms, he might be able to get the trades he needs, but he's going to have to basically keep his complete army alive and kill 2 or 3 Zerg armies. So definitely pretty scary right now, but this is kind of the situation you get in a lot as Protoss. So he's going to be able to, someone like Dis is going to be able to keep his cool here and play for his win condition. So you can see he's just poking away, he's getting the free damage where he can, trying to keep that 4th base online. We'll have to see if he's able to stabilize.
Yeah, he finally gets the 4th up. There's some harassment happening with some roaches. I think there's something at the 3rd base right now as well. And it does get cleaned up. Looked like it was another Baneling run by or Ling run by that was cleaned up by the probes and a quick warp in. But here we go. We got that old school death ball that Protoss has been known for since early Wings days. And, you know, Zerg having a little bit more sophistication to their army with the Vipers. So I think it's gonna come down to how these spellcasters are used. Now with the High Templars having a little bit higher feedback range, they might be able to get the Vipers before anything happens. But look at all these Banelings about to crash into the probes. Those are some very dead probes, but he actually opts not to kill them all with Banelings, thinking it's probably a better idea to use that on the army.
Surprising to see Silky back off there. I think he had that Protoss 4th base dead to rights, but looks like he knows he's got a massive advantage here. If he can just keep hammering against these workers, they're not going to be able to mine anyway. So the Protoss death ball is only getting stronger by the minute though, because even though all those workers there's no economy to back it up, but it's just going to free up more supply for him to make more death ball.
Yeah, and you know what? He has a huge gas bank now, Disc, so he's going to be able to warp in a lot of High Templars when he needs them. or some Archons. But, you know, we saw it just now, actually. A couple of Vipers get feedback that that new range buff, you know, helping the High Templar actually able to do something and not get just pulled right away by the Vipers.
Yeah, these Zergling run-bys obviously being very cost-effective at this point, even though they're right on top of a couple of Archons. If he can just prevent this base from mining, he's gonna completely contain Disc on these basically 3 bases, still not really mining on 4, but this is a very, very scary Protoss push here. He's gonna have to control exceptionally well to defeat this.
Yeah, there's a lot of High Templars with a lot of energy in that army, so it's a very scary army to attack. And look at this, another big Baneling run by at the 3rd base. More probes going down at both the 4th base and the 3rd base. The Humanity, 20 probes going down, and more Banelings crossing into the natural even too. Gonna take out some warping in units, and just a probe massacre here.
The 1 base Protoss, Mike. He's down to 25 workers. He has nothing. He has nothing in the bank. This is all in now, basically.
Yeah, this is the army he's got to win the game with. There's not going to be a carrier transition or any sort of super late air tech switch. This is it. And, you know, it's still a very scary army. A fight can go very heavily in Disc's favor, and he can win this game. So even with the Broodlords here, this is still a very scary army.
Yeah, he's gonna have to get the blinks of his life on this army, make sure that he gets those storms. There's so much for him to do against this Zerg army, and the Zerg is still just sitting pretty on creep. A big forward blink is gonna get one of the Broodlords, but before they get a second, the rest of the Zerg army pounces. Disc has to be very careful with how he engages this.
Yeah, he did get one of the Broodlords with the blink, but you're right. He had to force a storm out to defend himself against the Broodlings. He blinks aggressively again, storming a lot of the army, kills a few of the Broodlords, starts to storm the Banelings. So he's getting a lot of good storms, but I don't think he has enough to kill all the Broodlords. He's trying to blink underneath them, gets a couple more of them. There's only 5 of them left, but there's only a few Stalkers left over, and the Colossus and Archons are doing a pretty good job against the rest of the army, but it's these last 4 Broodlords that are going to reign supreme, as there's not enough anti-air to defend against it.
It's a really nice use of the Blinding Cloud there from the Zerg to make that a much more favorable engagement for them. Now it's basically just robotics facility units against Broodlords, which is not what you want to have. Just not being able to have that critical mass of Stalkers there. And now he's just so he's running on empty now.
Yeah, he warps in a few Archons, and look at this. He's going to try and drop the Archons under the Broodlords and the Morphing Broodlords, but there is not enough. These Colossus are going to go down. GG is called. Silky takes game number 1.
Well played from Silky. Really enjoyed those Baneling run-bys relentlessly through the whole game, just always finding weak spots to exploit in that Protoss defense. And really what we saw there was Disc just on basically 3 bases the entire game.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane how much Silky was able to take the map. He was able to just, after he had his 3 bases saturated, was able to just expand and just start getting that bank. And we never felt like he was getting harassed ever. It felt like, you know, there's a warp prism on the map, then there was a double Stargate that, you know, you think either it's going to be a big air tech switch, or maybe he's going to try and harass with like maybe double Stargate Phoenix or something to try and get in the Protoss's face, but no, or in the Zerg's face, but he didn't really stop the economy at all. And maybe that goes back to the Adept build not really doing too much.
Yeah, I think there were some crucial decisions there made by Dis that led to him not being able to get the damage done he needed. I think when he, like we saw, he was committing pretty heavily to that Adept attack. There was no roaches, and he just kept canceling the shades, and then by the time he did commit, there was roaches and Ravagers out ready to defend it. So I think he was a little bit too cautious there with those Adepts.
Yes. You are the host now, so just go whenever you're ready. Both players are ready for game number 2.
All right, let's get started.
And game number 2 will be on Eternal Empire. So I think we're gonna see another awesome macro game. This is a very good macro map.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit more stable compared to the last one, I think, because this is a tried and true map. Both players are going to have builds specifically for this map, and they're going to be no strangers to it.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite maps last pool, and I think that's why it was brought on to be in the next map pool. And all right, here we are with game number 2. Our boy from Root, it is the blue Protoss Disc.
And his opponent in the bottom left-hand corner, the red Zerg playing for Psystorm, it is Silky.
All right, so Silky really asserted his dominance on the map last game. On this map, I don't know if he'll be able to do as much. I feel like there are a lot more choke points and better places for the Protoss to engage with force fields.
Yeah, if you wall off that natural ramp that you have, and then you put a battery at your third, you're pretty much set on your 3 bases. It's pretty difficult to break that with just Roach Ravager. I know this can be kind of a difficult base to hold a 4th base for a Protoss, but again, it looks like Disc is very comfortable on those 3 bases. He can create a pretty scary army, but I'd like to see him hit a much earlier timing in this game before his army becomes basically worthless. By the time he finally pushed, I was up against Broodlords, and that's not what you want to be doing.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right about him being able to get onto 3 bases very comfortably. We'll see if he wants to try maybe doing something a little bit more aggressive. I feel like the Adept build last game wasn't really all in. I think it was meant for him to kind of do a little bit of damage, take a 3rd base and be safe, and we saw Silky kind of deflect it and then attack with a ton of Zerglings over and just deny Disc's 3rd base. So it'll be interesting to see if he tries to go a little more aggressive, maybe trying something in the 6 to 8 gate range on 2 bases, or if he's gonna maybe mix something cheeky in with DTs. I know Zest was doing a very popular DT build. I think we talked about it a little bit at the start of last game. So we'll just have to kind of see where he goes after his Cybercore finishes.
Yeah, I would love to see a DT drop personally. That is my favorite build, and we've been blocked out from doing it for so long because of that queen range, but now that it's nerfed, I think it's going to become a viable build. But from what I understand, the top pros are saying the Adept build is just so much better. It has so much more potential for damage, but the fact that Disc didn't find that damage in that game really might be setting his hopes back on doing that build. Might go something a little bit more stable, and it looks like he will. He's going to go for that Stargate opener, not something you see a lot lately, but definitely has the potential, if it's controlled well, to do a lot.
Yeah, you know what? I really like it. And the new Oracle changes are very interesting in this too, because not only can it potentially do a lot of damage early on if it's not scouted, but with the new Revelation change, it costs way less energy. It doesn't last as long, but you can keep tabs on Zerg units almost infinitely. Same with against the Terrans now. The Oracle I see is becoming not more popular, but you see it a lot more, I think, than the really popular Blink builds against Terran, because you just see you can keep eyes on the army almost at all times, and it doesn't cost very much. It's fairly cheap and an easy way to move forward in the game.
Yeah, it's such a powerful spell, and I haven't had a chance to play with the new version of Revelation too much myself, but I mean, I loved it before, and it's apparently gotten even better, so no complaints over here. Nothing better than having basically a map hack that follows your opponent's army around at all times.
Yeah, and I think it was a very good change. I think it was a very, very good change. It doesn't last as long, which means you're not like... I remember before with the old Revelation, you would get hit with it, like your medevacs and all of your units would get hit with it, and you're like, okay, well, I guess, I can't drop any for the next minute, a minute and a half, whatever long it was, however long it was. Now it's only like 15 seconds or something. Like, it's very, very short, but because it costs so much less energy, you can just keep tagging it. So as long as you're active with the Oracle, it can provide a lot of useful information.
Yeah, you definitely get a lot of opportunities. And look at this with the Spore is not quite finished yet. Gonna get fined. A little bit of damage there. A little bit of miss micro onto the Queen there. Does manage to get a few kills, but I think it was a little bit clunky there. Only getting, what was it, 2 kills?
He was able to get 4 there, which is pretty... I think that's pretty good. He's got a second Oracle available as well. And I think, like you said, there was a little bit of miss micro against the Queen. He did, get 4 kills, but I think because there was no Spore available and with the Queen changes, I think he could have done a lot more there. And now, he's tagging Queens, which is good, and you can keep that map vision with the Oracles, and they will be able to deny creep a little bit better too with the changes to the creep tumor.
He's being a little bit clunky with these Oracles again, flying too close to that Queen. The Queen hasn't moved, so he just flew right back in the vision of the Queen that he had just taken a bunch of damage from. But crucially, these Oracles are both still alive, which is going to allow him to actually go around and zip down the creep tumors here, which is just like what you were talking about there with that upgrade to the Revelation ability. These are finally, this is probably the first time I've ever seen this, you're able to use a 2 Oracle hit squad to clear out these creep tumors, and this should make his follow-up push very, very strong.
Yeah, almost used in the same way that you would see a Terran throw, you know, two medevacs full of Marines to just clear, just your creep clearing squad, right? So now you have that with Protoss Oracles. You have two Oracles just flying around. They're very quick. They're very safe. You're not going to see Zergs really go mutas in this matchup very often. So, and even if they did, Oracles are very quick, so they can, you know, come in, kill a creep tumor or two, fly out, and they're pretty well safe. They're not going to get surrounded by, you know, Zerglings or roaches or anything. And at the same time, they could throw a revelation down onto the they can throw it down onto the units like the Zerglings and keep an eye on any run by potential.
Yeah, and I think the real cool part about the 2 Oracle opening here as the creep clearing mechanic is it's a lot less of an investment overall. If you think about a Warp Prism full of Archons, you basically need 500 minerals, 500 gas, plus the Warp Prism in order to have that DT drop, turn into Archons, fly around and kill stuff, plus the Observer. So you're looking at like a 600 plus gas investment. If you lose that, you basically lose the game. Whereas these 2 Oracles, yeah, it would be really devastating to lose them, but you're less likely to. And also, it only costs 300 gas.
Yeah, it's not a bad investment at all. Let's talk about what the Zerg's doing though. Silky getting a Lurker Den and some Hydralisks out. Are Lurkers still a big problem for Protoss to deal with? Or
it's kind of map dependent. The surprise factor can be cool, but on this map there's some pretty annoying spots you can go in, both at the natural and at the third base. So if you go by the rocks at the third base, you can burrow a Lurker there and it can actually hit the gas geyser, and it's pretty difficult for the Protoss to stop you from doing that. And then the other thing you can do is just walk right up the natural ramp, burrow a Lurker. Since Protoss usually walls up there, it's going to be hard for them to come down that ramp without going all the way around. So it's just, I think the great thing about Lurkers is that they just make it really awkward for the Protoss to engage, especially on maps like this with these weird rocks, these weird chokes all over the place. But remains to be seen if it's even going to come into effect here. This is a very scary Protoss push, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit of a Zergling run by as well.
yeah, the run by able to cancel the fourth base, and it's going to continue to attack at the third base. And now these Lurkers and more Zerglings are forced to retreat. And the Oracles are, if they're not careful, they might get picked off by the Queens and Hydras, but they are able to get a revelation down on the Lurkers. But, ooh, losing that Warp Prism is a pretty big deal. And now look at this run by going all the way into the main base. These probes are going to fall very quickly. While the attack was pretty good initially for Disc, now all these Lings are just killing probes left and right, killing some warped in Zealots for reinforcement. And this attack is basically over. And now the Lurkers are marching across the map on the counterattack. And if they can get over to that ramp and deny any reinforcements and keep these other units out on the map, it's going to be so difficult for Disc to clean this up. He really only has one way to come around, and that's where the Lurkers are.
Now finishing, and that's really not what he wants to deal with this. The Hydras are kind of the non-issue here. The Observer does get sniped. It's going to be a GG and another win for Silky.
Yeah, 2-0 win from Silky. Look at that. So that is our first winner in the group. He's going to move on to the winners match to play either Skylar or Starkiller. So I hope that we have Skylar around. We have a 2-0 victory for Silky. Good for him. That'll definitely help him out. Has Skylar shown up? I don't see him online yet.
It's not looking good for our friend here. I'm going to take a quick break, Mike. I will be right back.
Sounds good. All right, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and we're going to hopefully hear back from our boy Skylar. Hopefully he's all okay and not, you know, in any trouble of any kind. Hopefully we can get that game, because you hate to see someone drop out due to a, you know, disqualification. So hopefully that's not the problem that we have. But what we'll do is we'll take a quick 5-minute break. When we return, hopefully Skylar will be here and we can continue this. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. This is a video that was done up by our Observer Necro, and we'll be playing these throughout the tournament. So I hope you guys enjoy this. We'll be right back.
Welcome to StarCraft Trivia with Necro. The category is casters. So, question 1. StarCraft casters are quite active on YouTube. They all do their own thing, they have their own content, but one of my favorite YouTube series was the hilarious interview series called The Extended Series. Who was the host of the Extended Series? Was it A, Day 9, B, Husky StarCraft, C, In Control, or D, Tasteless? The answer is In Control, and there is a reason his name ends in troll. Here's a short clip.
So we're gonna do a quick word association, and I want you to tell me the first thing that touches your mind when I say these words, okay?
All right, I am back.
Okay, we're gonna go past that one. That would be, if it was like true or false, you just marked 0.
Okay.
Razor.
Peanuts.
Yeah, nuts on the mind. Why peanuts? Tell me about that. Let's go a little bit deeper, peanuts.
So, they're pretty, like, tasty, and...
Do you like tasty nuts?
We call him literal god Tasteless, but even gods have weaknesses. What food is Nick Tasteless Plot allergic to? Is it A, bananas, B, cinnamon, C, ginger, or D, licorice? The answer is B, cinnamon. Check out this clip.
Come back
Raisins
here.
and spice, it's the best flavor.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, I can't have the cinnamon incident meal
Oh,
because
that's
I'm
true. The
allergic
apple
to
and cinnamon is the second best flavor too.
I'm
feel
allergic
so
to
bad
cinnamon.
For you, poor little
I like
guy.
smell cinnamon rolls. I'm like, I bet those taste pretty good.
And final question of this segment. So, some casters were actually quite successful in other RTS games before StarCraft 2 came out. So some did quite well in Warcraft 3, others in StarCraft Brood War, but one caster was actually really good at Command and Conquer. Which caster has a Command and Conquer World Cyber Games Championship title under his belt? Is it A, Apollo, B, Kalaris, C, Caldor, or D, Take from Take TV? The answer is A. Apollo actually won the Command & Conquer 3 WCG back in 2007, and it was casted by an old StarCraft caster, DJ Weed. Here, check this out.
Things that you can do, especially fighting over the expansion. And there it is, GG coming out from Xeon, which means Apollo will win the first map, and we're going to go into the second one in just a moment. But really, I mean, essentially, if you want to break down the strategic points of that game, Apollo instantly going for that Explorer push, brought it out, expanded to the eastern side of the tip factory, and it really, his intention there was not to expand.
So yeah, he indeed won that game, and in fact, he went on to win the rest of the series and the tournament itself, securing himself a very nice $12,000 in prize money. So Apollo doesn't really cast StarCraft anymore, but that's because he's working with ESL to organize the ESL Pro Tour. So back in January of 2020, he already stated in an interview with La Spira that 6 tournaments will be held every year under ESL for the next 3 years, and that all the tournament locations in 2020 were already booked. As we know, 2020 did not exactly turn out to be as planned, and we had major hiccups regarding live events, which is why most of them were held online. But let's just say StarCraft 2 owes a lot to this British Command and Conquer champion.
I've hit the wrong scene. All right, we are back. I have not heard from our boy Skylar, so we might have a disqualification on our hands.
That is a shame. Are we gonna? Do we have everyone ready for the third match then?
I believe everyone is ready. Everyone is in the lobby for today. So if we have a disqualification, then that would mean that Starkiller gets a 2-0 victory. I still do not see Barney online. Barney, Skylar, Top Gun, whatever name you have for him. I don't see him. I've pinged him. I have sent him messages on both BattleNet and Discord, and really that's all I have to get a hold of him. So if we don't hear from him, we're gonna have to switch, or we're gonna have to give the advance to Starkiller, which is very unfortunate because I was really looking forward to that match.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm assuming something very important came up in his real life. So I hope everything's okay with him. I hope he's all is well and no one's hurt or dead or anything. But for the moment, some things have to take priority over StarCraft.
Exactly. I hope everything is well with him. Hopefully everything is a-okay and it's not anything super serious. After all, this is just a small indie tournament is what we'll call it. But yeah, so I guess we'll be giving Starkiller a 2-0 advance. And we'll be having Starkiller versus Silky in our winners match. That's really a bummer because it's basically a free advance to the winners match for Starkiller, which some people might not find fair, but really there's no other way to really change that. There's no way for me to. I don't have anyone to play him.
Yeah, that's it's the unfortunate reality of it. But if you're not here, you're not here.
That's it. Okay, so we'll have Starkiller against Silky for our winners match.
It's going to be a pretty great series, I think.
All right, we're gonna leave our party and then get invited to the next one.
Okay.
Disc says
This will be a ZVZ.
yes. Disc says it's a well-earned victory for waking up at 8:30 in the morning.
Fair enough. The early bird gets the W.
That's just it, man. And you know, I was hoping, you know, with it being at 11 o'clock, it wouldn't be too bad, but sadly, like you said, hopefully something came up, but nothing too serious.
Yeah, obviously it's funny being a tournament like this, almost entirely North American, but still, being in the UK, it's still pretty getting late for me. It's still almost 5 o'clock, so no issues for me. I think I'm on the reverse end of the spectrum for a while. I'll be tired in a few hours here.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for our admin to invite players and us. Sorry, I think we're just switching admins for this round.
So ZVZ, Mike. We knew it was coming. Can't be avoided.
I tried
What are we
so
looking for?
hard to have this not happen.
And got so far. In the end,
It didn't
doesn't
even matter. Okay. Our admin is not inviting, so I will invite. Or
At least we'll have a balanced match on our hands, though. Am I right?
no. There we go. We got it. I was just the last one into the party. Okay. The host was added to the party last. Oh my goodness. All right, while they figure out the bands, did you see any of the video that was playing on our break?
Yeah, that was some high production quality there, Mike.
Some
I
high
really enjoyed the
production,
trivia.
Some pretty cool trivia. Did you learn anything
I
new?
did not know that Tasteless was allergic to cinnamon, but I did know that Apollo was a Command and Conquer champion because that was kind of like back in the day. I remember that was a meme. all the time when Apollo would talk about StarCraft and be like, "Oh, what do you know? You're just a Command and Conquer player. You don't know anything."
I did not know that meme. That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, it's one of the it's funny how StarCraft 2 brought so many people together from different games, right? Like you get the Warcraft people, you get the Brood War people as the two obvious ones, but then you also get like TLO coming from Supreme Commander and
Supreme
Apollo
Commander.
coming from Command and Conquer. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I knew Warcraft 3 was a really big one back in the day for a lot of pros. A lot of them were playing. Excuse me. A lot of them were playing Warcraft 3 back in the day. Like what was it, TLO and who was it? Todd, I think it was. I think that
Rotterdam was
Yeah.
amazing as well.
Yeah, a lot of Warcraft roots.
Yeah, and then you get the Brood War elitists being like, "We played a real game."
Brood War was the best RTS of all time. It was the absolute hardest and made Artosis rage harder than anybody.
I do love Artosis' stream. Oh god, it's a guilty pleasure. I hope that he gets killed by a Protoss every game. That's just what I hope.
To this day, still raging hard at Brood War. It's great. I
I
actually
feel like that's
watching
gonna be
it
me
too.
in like 5 years. Except it's gonna be with StarCraft 2, because that's kind of my Brood War.
Same. I still can't beat Protoss.
Yeah, I'll be.
It's been 15
Zerg's
years.
so overpowered.
Laser beams everywhere. It's bullshit.
Lasers. All right. Hopefully, I'm not the host this time. Awesome.
No, we got our admin on it. I think both players are ready to go. Starkiller and Silky. You know what? I'm still really excited for this because even though it's Zerg versus Zerg, I know Starkiller is going to make this pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I will say ZVZ can lead to some games that I personally find a bit boring, but it also can lead to some insane games where there's a lot of back and forth, and I think that's what StarCraft's about, right? Like regardless of whatever units you're making, it's the multi-prong, it's the run-bys, it's the counterattacks. You do get a lot of that because there's so speedy units in this matchup, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what these guys bring to the table.
I want to see just one drone pull of some kind where
Probably a 12 pool drone pull kind of thing.
where one of the players plants a spine like a flag in his opponent's base. All right, guys, here we go. The winner of the previous series over a Protoss opponent, he's now playing a Zerg versus Zerg. It is Psystorm. I almost said Psystorm Communities. It is Psystorm Silky.
And his opponent, also a Zerg player, in the bottom right-hand corner of Death Aura Ellie. He's playing Red Zerg team for Alpha X. He is Silky.
Alpha X is no, that's Starkiller.
Wait, what?
I'm the
Oh,
one
I
that
got
worked
them,
all
I got them
night.
backwards. I got screwed up. I was gonna say, why does he have a gigantic Psystorm Gaming sticker beside him? Right, he is Silky.
Oh, did I introduced? No, I did mess that up. No,
It's okay, dude. You know what?
I
Everyone
introduced
sees it
Starkiller
now.
as Silky. I was wrong. And look at this. We got Drone Scout going to the bottom. Starkiller doing what I wanted him to do. This is not going to be for a scout. This has got to be for a hatchery, right?
Either a hatchery or a spine crawler, potentially. This is going to be a very aggressive pool for him. Silky's pool is just finishing now, and there's already Zerglings out.
This is 100% going to be a hatchery, and I'm so happy that it's happening once, right? Yes, it is. He's going to go over to the third base. He's going to plant a hatchery down, and then hopefully he's going to plant some spines. Maybe see some Pokeboys hitting at the natural. Some Zerglings moving across the map through those speed fields, actually. This is going to hit a lot faster than normal. I never thought about that. You know what? He doesn't even need Zergling speed. He doesn't even have any gas at home. He is going to... Oh, he's not even going to build a hatchery. It's going to be probably a spine crawler, no?
don't know. I think he realizes that his opponents already had a fairly early pool as well. So this is going to mean that Silky just takes a faster hatchery and defends pretty cleanly here. Without the drone pull, with his opponent going for an early pool as well, this is pretty much completely deflected by now. There are a few more Zerglings for Starkiller at this point, but Silky's up 3 workers. His base is a lot closer to being finished, and he's already got a queen out on the low ground.
Yeah, everything looking very well defended from Silky. I was really hoping Starkiller would, you know, I know he's trying to do something cheeky, and I think he wanted to plant a spine somewhere, but with the pool first coming down from Silky, I think, you know, he knows that his opponent likes to do some shenanigans and, you know, play a little differently, so, you know, he prepared for that a little bit more. And look at this Concave, killing a lot of Zerglings here. Starkiller gonna get a decent trade here.
Yeah, this is finally looking pretty good, especially if he gets this queen. He already has 2 more queens on the way, though. And Silky's still, even though he took a fair amount of damage with that, that was the absolute minimum that Starkiller needed to do with that. I still really favor Silky's position here. He's got equal workers. He's got, I think, an extra queen, and he's got his Zergling speed halfway done.
Yeah, I think that's the big deal here, is that the Zergling speed is already almost done, whereas Starkiller is starting a Roach Warren and has not even taken his gases yet. So he's going to be able to defend a Speedling all-in with the Queens and the Roach Warren and the Evolution Chamber as a wall. There's not going to be any, I shouldn't say the Speedling all-in, because it could very easily not be a Speedling all-in, but he's not going to take any damage from Speedlings here with this wall setup.
Yeah, and it'll remain to be seen what he decides to go for. He's already taking 3 gases. He's definitely behind in the gas department because he waited so long. Silky with the 3rd base coming down. We'll have to see if Starkiller goes for Mutas or if he goes for some kind of Roach timing attack.
Yeah, it's definitely going to have to be a Roach timing, maybe with a layer and speed or a Nidus Worm. It remains to be seen. He hasn't started a layer yet. He hasn't started a 3rd base yet, so the longer this goes, it's going to look very good for Silky as he's getting his drone count up. I mean, both players are getting their drones up as high as they can right now while on 2 base. And, you know, Silky just having that quicker 3rd hatchery and +1 start for both players.
Yeah, so it's hard to find an advantage that Starkiller has right now with the Roach Horn not really being used as early as he made it. Silky's is finishing, but he's also got the same timing on his attack. He's still got Zergling speed. He's got a 3rd base going. I mean, all the cards are coming up Silky at this point, and I wonder how clear of a read Starkiller has on how far behind he actually is.
Well, he does have the Overlord in position. He's going to see that there's a 3rd base completed from Silky. His layer now halfway finished, so you have to think that it's going to be a Speed Roach attack or some sort of Nidus Worm attack. There's still minimal units out for Starkiller. He still is just defending with the Queens. He does have a couple of Roaches out now, but I think he wants to kind of wait until either he moves out with speed or moves out with a Nidus Worm. We don't have an Overlord in a position for an Nidus Worm unless he wants to, you know, set one up outside of the 3rd base, but we'll see what Starkiller has up his sleeve. He's going to be hitting with a lot of Roaches. He's got a lot in production right now.
And he does have a much quicker layer. Like you said, the Nidus Worm does come down, so it's going to be a dedicated +1 Roach through a Nidus Worm attack. And Starkiller or Silky has to be aware that this is a possibility, right? His opponent's staying on 2 bases. He sees the dancing Evolution Chamber, so he knows it's probably going to involve Roaches. He probably doesn't know about Mutas yet. Like, he doesn't know if it's Mutas or a Nidus Worm, but he should be prepared for some kind of cheesy maneuver here in any case.
Yeah, I think that he's got to know something is up, and I don't think it can be Mutas. I think he has a pretty good read on the situation. Like you said, seeing the Evolutionary Chamber moving around and researching +1, seeing that many Roaches leaving the natural. The only thing he might not know about is the Nidus Worm now. It'll be cool to see if he uses it. Yeah, all right, I was going to say if he rallies into it and then uses it in the main base, or if he just uses it to reinforce outside of the 3rd, which is what Starkiller is going to do, is just completely wall off and reinforce outside the 3rd base. So there's not going to be a run by either. He's going to be pretty safe on his 2 bases. And even Queen's joining the fray.
Silky, with a really great Overlord spread, has seen this coming a mile away. Even though those Roaches took a detour, he's already got the Concave set up with the Queens. I don't see this doing much damage. He might just go back into the Nidus Worm and start trying to pop in the main. He's obviously has that mobility advantage, but the clock is ticking now. Silky is mining off of 3 bases, and there's no 3rd base in sight. The Zergling's actually getting into the main base from Silky. They're going to be doing a little bit of damage in the natural, but the Roaches are there to clean it up.
Yeah, but every drone kill is crucial here. He loses 3 drones and he's already behind 7 before. So now he's behind 10 drones. Like you said, his opponent is mining off of 3 bases, albeit not a ton. We do finally have an engagement here with the roaches. They're going to get a pretty good concave in favor of Silky, but Starkiller actually forcing him back. It's hard to tell who's going to win this fight. They're both trying to fight for that better concave.
Yeah, I think as long as Silky controls this well, he should be in a good position. They're on equal upgrades. He's got bigger army supply, still holding that army supply even. Future excuses from those queens. There are more queens for Starkiller, and he can reinforce if he wants to, but he looks like he's just going to bust back into the Nidus for him and take his losses.
Yeah, you know what? That was a tough fight for Starkiller. It looked like he was doing okay at the start, but then it just felt like Silky overwhelmed him, and now even dropped Overlord. I guess that's how the original Zerglings got in. They didn't actually attack the wall. They just hopped right over it with the help of the Overlord. So the 200 IQ play from Silky here.
Yeah, and now he's looking to be aggressive at the natural expansion. There is a significant army advantage for Silky. Obviously, it's very difficult with those roaches being rallied right out. The +2 is nowhere in sight for Starkiller. He's just going to tap out. GG.
Yeah, GG. Well played, Starkiller. Trying something a little bit cheeky at the start and being punished for it, as Silky is able to defend very well. And now we move on to game 2.
Pleased that it only took 2 series for us to go full North America and have a complete cheese opener countered by a complete anti-cheese opener. It's you know, I would have expected nothing less.
And that's what I was really hoping with this group. When we randomized the groups and got them all set up, I saw this group and I was like, yes, Starkiller, Skylar in the same group with 2 macro players. Oh baby, this is gonna be good. And then Skylar didn't show up. And
Unfortunately, but it stoked my interest in his play, and I'm gonna probably check out his. Does he stream?
He does, yes. You can check him out at, I think it's Top Gun Stream, I think is his
Okay,
Twitch
I'll
name.
check him out. You've piqued my interest.
Yes. Alrighty. So game number 2 will be on Eternal Empire. I think it'll be a little bit more difficult for Starkiller to try something cheeky like in the last game, with just how the ramps are set up and how easy it is to wall off in the natural.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of ZVZ on this map, but I think what's really great for Silky in that last game is the way he spreads his overlords out. I could see Starkiller was trying to go around. He was really trying his best to go sort of run around where the overlord positioning would be, but with the really intelligent spread from Silky, he saw everything coming and nothing surprised him in that game.
Okay, our admin was waiting for me to be ready. We are indeed all ready to go on Eternal Empire. And we're just about to hop into that now.
It's probably impossible for a Terran and a Protoss player to make a prediction about this, but what do you think's going to happen here, Mike?
What do I think is going to happen? Well, last game I was really hoping for a proxy hatch. I wanted it to happen so bad with that early drone scout, but I think Starkiller maybe plays it a little bit less cheeky at the start. We might see something more along the lines of like a 2-base timing. All right.
Yeah, that would be maybe a little bit more solid for him if he committed to that right from the beginning.
So, in the top right-hand corner of Eternal Empire, in the blue trunks, it is Alpha X's Starkiller.
And his opponent in the bottom left-hand corner, playing for Sidestorm Gaming, he is up 1-0. He is Silky. Showing us some silky smooth gameplay. That's probably the 1000th time that joke's been made, but everyone gets there first.
And look at what we have. A role reversal, if you will. Silky going with the early pool, no hatch yet, and a hatch first from our blue Zerg. And look at this, he's going to take another hatch, isn't he? What is that scout at the top in the middle? That's not a Zergling, is it?
No,
it's
maybe
oh
this
my
is just
goodness.
something that Starkiller likes to do. He runs this all the way around, and yeah, we'll have to see if he uses it in this game, because last game it was kind of kind of just didn't really do anything.
That is 100% going to be a hidden base.
I love this if it is. This is, again, full North America, dude. Fast third base. Let's go.
Fast third base in the corner in ZVZ where your overlords can scout. And there's going to be creep. But you know
And
what?
your opponent is going for an early pool.
And your opponent is early pooling you. Starkiller, you absolute madman. I love it. The eco cheese. We don't see this in ZVZ ever, or at least I never ever see this, and I'm very excited. The Overlord to the north for Silky is not going to see it. Starkiller it's going to be scary for him with facing a pool first, but there's not a lot of gas being mined yet from Silky. He might try to Speedling Flood, but we'll see if he can figure it out. He's going to see, no gas yet, and it's got to look different, right? Like he's going to be noticing, hey, you're missing some stuff. There's not a lot of Zerglings on the map. Maybe you're missing a queen or two, or a couple of drones even at this point in the game, because there's a bunch of lings out right now chasing these drones, and only 2 Zerglings out for Starkiller. He's actually going to have to pull the drones against these Zerglings.
Silky ran those right. He threaded the needle through 3 overlords to avoid being spotted all the way across the map. That was a devastating move for Starkiller, but it looks like he is going to hold in the end. It just took them a little bit too long taking that roundabout route, and have to see if this proxy third base gets scouted.
I think Silky knows something is up because he just started his lair. He didn't even start Zergling speed. He has a layer already going on 2 bases and an Evo chamber. So what do you really... It's got to be a Roach Nidus, right?
Yeah, and I'm not sure how long it's going to be before it just kind of stops mattering that his opponent went for a fast third, because again, you can get the third pretty early in ZVZ anyway. It just really depends on if Silky's got the read on it and if he manages to commit to an attack early on. I don't think he knows about it yet. I don't think he's thinking that. I think he's just wants to do kind of the similar thing that Starkiller did last game. He's almost mimicking his build completely with the fast pool into the Nidus Worm, and if Starkiller isn't prepared for it, if it just goes off in the main base, it's going to be a lot harder to defend.
Yeah, he's not going to get the Zergling scout in. He has Overlords in position if he decides to sacrifice one into the main. It looks like it's slowly going to make its way there, so he's going to need a good read on this. He does have a Roach Warren of his own almost done. He's droning pretty hard, but I think if he's able to get enough roaches out, he should be able to hold this. He's going to see the Overseer already moving into his base, so that's right away going to trigger some red flags for him.
Yeah, he's going to know about the layer timing of his opponent, and Silky's going to spot that there's no layer there for Starkiller, only now just starting at the natural expansion, so he knows there's not going to be anything super early in terms of Mutalisk. It's just going to be brute force units with a superior economy. 10 more drones for Starkiller, but a few of them go down. I guess he's making buildings.
Yeah, Starkiller adding his Roach Warren, adding his Evo Chamber, I think. Or, no, couple of gases, actually. He already has his Roach Warren done. And now look at this. No, the scouting on the third base timing. He has to know something is up. There's no third base for Starkiller, according to the Overseer. And actually, Starkiller is going to take that third base now and maybe try to fool his opponents.
And this defensive posture from Silky, I really worry for him. I mean, he is getting his +1 attack a little bit earlier than his opponent, so he has a small window to do some attack here in the next 10 seconds, but he still doesn't know about that base, and it's been mining now, and he's up to 56 workers, and you've got to work this out, right? Like, you've got all the information you need. He does have 4 gases, so he might be expecting some kind of Mutalisk play, but with the late layer and the slow third base, I mean, he's got to be doing something.
Yeah, we do have a Roach move out now for Silky, and like you said, I wasn't really liking the defensive posture. He took that early layer, he got the early speed and +1, and never did anything with it. Now, Starkiller's had a chance to kind of catch up as far as the unit count goes. He's not going to get that third base down, but he has to be careful. He doesn't have Roach speed. All these Roaches are going to get caught out.
Yeah, that's a very decisive commitment from Silky, and I think this is going to be the fight that he needs here, actually. He's going to completely devastate these Roaches, and now the reinforcements are coming in, but I think it might be a little bit too little too late.
Yeah, Starkiller taking a bad fight without Roach speed here, and now he has to pull all the drones off the line, and drones do not do well against Roaches. They might be able to hold for a little bit, but no, it looks like all the roaches are going to go down. Starkiller having to retreat now with roaches from the hidden base that were rallying. He might get a good sandwich off here, but now he's behind 20 drones, just losing a ton of units and drones, and the rally just keeps on coming. Silky just keeps building the roach. The roaches are moving in, killing the enemy roaches. Starkiller may be going down to the losers match.
And with that queen going down and a contaminate, there's not going to be any more larvae coming from that hatchery. It's going to be choking off those reinforcements. A few do come from the third base now, but I think Silky still has the army here to keep steamrolling. It looks like he's going to get pushed away in the end, but he's gotten such an advantage out of that.
Yes, he is. And I was actually looking at the wrong tab. After all of that, Starkiller is still ahead in workers. I was looking at the army tab. Well. And he was down 20 army supply. He's actually ahead in workers after all this. So if he doesn't panic, I think he's okay. I think he's gonna have to retreat with these roaches, but he needs to realize that, oh, the jig is up. Here it is. The hidden base is found finally, and Silky's gotta be thinking, you sneaky boy.
I love this commitment from Silky every single time, realizing he has the advantage in the roach count, running right on top of Starkillers, making sure that he gets that decisive fight, even able to split off a few to target that hatchery. A little bit of indecision there maybe from the extras, but looks like he's able to win the fight and harass these drones. Brilliant movement from Silky.
Yeah, able to force the drones to stop mining from that base, and now Starkiller fighting for his life here. He's going to lose the top engagement while the roaches are popping out from that hidden base and getting picked off along the way, retreating back to the real third base location, not the hidden location, of course. And now it's going to come down to some more roaches attacking Starkiller's third base. I think the roach count is just too in favor of Silky. His economy hasn't been touched, albeit, he was behind briefly economically due to the hidden base, but now he's just, Starkiller's just lost way too many units.
Yeah, those contaminates on the hatchery is really choking out the larva. What a beautiful game from Silky.
Yeah, very good game from Silky, and you know what? Starkiller didn't look that bad. I think he just panicked with his slow roaches a little too much, thinking he needed to engage there. Now he's gonna go down to the losers match, or the decider match, I should say.
That's got to be. I mean, like you're saying, he wasn't looking too bad, but that's got to be a debilitating loss for Starkiller there, because he got his proxy base up with he got the better of that opening completely, and then he still managed to lose. So Silky just showing he's really, really strong in ZVZ.
Yes, I'm just messaging Silky now if we can get him in for a quick interview. Let's see, he doesn't have a webcam though. He says that is totally okay. We can bring him into the Discord call and just chat away, ask him a couple of quick questions, and that is our first player to advance from the Misery Cup. For the Miserable Cup. I'm getting my own tournament name wrong. Hello.
Oh. Hi.
Hey Silky, thanks for coming on, and congratulations, you're the first player to advance in the Miserable Cup. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. I'm pretty tired right now, but otherwise, I think the result was pretty expected, so I'm happy with what happened. So
yeah, I'm really excited that you're able to take part in this with it being early. I do appreciate you waking up early to, try your hand at this tournament here.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's probably better for me to maybe get on a good sleep schedule anyways, so we'll see what happens.
There we go. Helping out with real life here on the Misery stream. So you're going to face the loser in Group D, or I guess the second place player to advance from Group D. Is there anyone from Group D that you would like to face, would not like to face?
Can you remind me who's in Group D?
Yeah, for sure. In Group D, we have Nina, Patty Mac, Caleb Aracious, and Future.
It's actually a tough group. I guess. I mean, I probably wouldn't want to play Future because he's the best player there for sure, I think.
Yeah.
So that would probably be my yeah, I would want to avoid Future if possible, I guess. So
Who do you think you would like to play then?
probably Caleb or Patty Mac for sure, I think would be the best scenario for me.
Yeah, your ZVZ looked really strong there. It looked very good against Starkiller.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
All right, just a couple more real quick. What's your favorite map this season? I know that there's been a lot of changes to the map pool and a lot of pretty cool changes with the balance patch. Is there any favorite change or map?
Favorite new map? Probably. So far I'm okay with Death Aura. It's really hard versus Protoss though. But other than that, I'm not a big fan of the maps yet. But that might be because I haven't played that many games on them. But we'll see how it goes, later on in the season.
Right on, right on. And one last, would you like to give any shout outs to anyone? Give us a link to your social media or Twitch or anything like that?
Sure. Shouts out to Psystorm Gaming for supporting me for all these years. You can follow me on Twitter at PsySilky. And yeah, I don't really stream, so that's about it. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for participating and thanks for coming on for a quick interview.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
All right. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Right on. Silky advancing first in his group. And going on to Championship Sunday. He'll play the second place player from Group D, which will be crazy. That's going to be on Saturday, guys. And now, because we don't really have a losers match to play, I think because we lost Skylar, I guess we're going to have to go straight to the deciders match. Which is a little bit unfortunate.
So that will be Silky versus who?
It'll be Disc versus Starkiller.
Oh, okay.
That'll be our decider match.
Right, because Silky definitely advances, so we'll have to see
So
who gets second.
let's see here. We'll just gonna get Starkiller to pass the lead over so we can get our players ready to go. I think we'll take a quick 5-minute break, get another little trivia session going, because I don't think we'll have too many more breaks after this.
Sounds great. See you when we get back.
Yeah, guys, we'll be back shortly.
Welcome back to StarCraft Trivia with Necro. The category is units. So sometimes we do refer to the corruptor ability as pissing on buildings, but who knew pissing could do so much damage? How much total damage can one corruptor inflict with a single cast of caustic spray, without, of course, being interrupted? Is it A, 800 damage, B, 1500 damage, C, 3000 damage, or D, The answer is D, infinity. The caustic spray ability actually keeps going until it gets interrupted. So if the corruptor is issued another command, if the building dies, or if the corruptor dies. So technically, you could put one corruptor per building and it will kill it. Eventually. It does 7 damage per second at the beginning for 4.3 seconds, and then it increases over time to a maximum of 35 damage per second. They say slow and steady wins the race, and I guess that's true because the corruptor does not win any 1v1 against buildings that actually fight back. So generally, it's pretty important to know unit types and attributes in StarCraft. It allows you to know what unit does extra damage versus what. Like, did you know that Ghosts deal a lot of damage against Banshees because Banshees are light units? Well, which of these units has the most unit type / attributes? So like armored, biological, psionic, etc. Is it A, the Broodlord, B, a Mothership, C, an SCV, or D, a Sentry? So the answer is B, the Mothership. So all the other units have 3 types. Broodlord is massive, armored, and biological. The SCV is light, mechanical, and biological, so it can be healed by a medevac and repaired at the same time. And the Sentry is light, mechanical, and psionic. So the Mothership is the only unit with 5 unit types. So it's armored, mechanical, psionic, massive, and heroic. And it's the only unit to have the heroic type. But what does heroic do? Well, all it means is that it can't be mind controlled by infestors. That's pretty much it. And last question of the segment. So just like in real life, generally it's cheaper to repair than it is to buy a whole brand new thing. But what if something is really damaged, like really damaged, like a Thor that's down to 1 HP? How many resources does it cost to repair a Thor from 1 HP to full HP? Is it A, 75 minerals and 50 gas, B, 150 minerals and 100 gas, C, 300 minerals and 200 gas, or D, 400 minerals? So the answer is A, 75 minerals and 50 gas. So the full repair of a unit is 25% of its resource cost. So since a Thor is 300 minerals and 200 gas, it would cost 75 minerals and 50 gas for a full repair. So the amount of full health or the time that it takes to repair doesn't actually impact the total price, but the time that it takes to repair the unit is the same amount of time that it takes to build it. So since a Thor takes 43 seconds to build, it would take 1 SCV 43 seconds to fully repair it. So if a unit costs 1,000 minerals, 1,000 gas, has 10,000 health, and a build time of 1 second, then the SCV would repair 10,000 health in 1 second, and it would cost 250 minerals and 250 gas. Huh.
I wonder if you have a stream open somewhere? Because people were saying my audio was being echoed as well. I'm not too sure.
All right, guys, we're back, and we are now going to be skipping on to the Deciders match. Just going to update the party here after that quick break. Hope you guys are enjoying the trivia that Necro has provided us, because that is awesome content. I think it's really cool. He's going to be posting all those up onto YouTube. If anyone ever wants to check those out, definitely check out his channel. I'll definitely be providing links at some point for that. For the time being, though, I want to get these games going, get the show on the road.
Is this our last series for the night, Mike?
This will be the last series, sadly, yeah, because we can't do a losers match because Skylar is not here still. So we basically disqualify him for 2 and have to advance Star Killer twice.
He gets a double.
He gets a
advance.
double
What a legend.
advance. He advances from his first match, plays in the winner's match, and then he advances from the loser side. I think we have everyone in the party ready to go. TJ is admitting for us again. Thank you so much, TJ. All right. PVZ, it looks like.
Again, another chance for me to see how to beat Zergs. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think this would definitely qualify as the favored player here, but strange things can happen. A Star Killer is no stranger to making a game strange.
Yeah, have you mentioned to him that there's a pizza on the line for this tournament? Because I feel like he's playing like he doesn't know it.
Okay, well, you know what? We'll let him know right now. He says, okay, he's gonna try hard now. He's aware of the stakes.
Well, now we're gonna see him absolutely annihilate Disc. So that's my own fault though. But I mean,
We forgot to tell him about that earlier. It looks like both players are good to go.
Hey, let's get into it.
Oh, I'm the host. I'm dumb. Did this say go?
Let's
He did.
get
He
right
did.
into
All right.
it.
For some reason, I thought TJ was still here, so that's on me.
It's all right, man. 2Air is human. You play Terran, so everything's a little harder, right?
Yeah, my brain's a little bit smaller than everyone else's.
But more mechanically sound.
I can, I'm like an assembly line worker. I can make my hands go kind of fast from time to time in a repetitive motion. Do the same thing. All right, guys. Here we go. In the top right-hand corner, I'm going to get this right this time because they are 2 different races. In the blue trunks, representing Alpha X, it is Star Killer.
And his opponent in the bottom left-hand corner of Ice and Chrome LE, playing for Team Root, it is Disc.
I miss saying Psystorm Disc because it just feels like it rolls off the tongue a little bit easier than Root Disc.
Yeah, root disc sounds like a surgical procedure you have to have when you're over 50.
Oh, I'm just dreading going to the doctors. He's gonna give me the root disc, and I just don't know what I'm gonna do the next day. I'm gonna be out of commission. I gotta drink this liter of weird liquid that they give me, and then the rest takes care of itself apparently.
Yeah, Dale got a root disc last week, and he wasn't able to walk for a week, dude.
Oh my goodness! Don't tell me that.
All right, so is there anything happening in the game we should be aware of, Mike?
Right now, no. It looks very standard from our blue Zerg. He goes hatch first and then a gas. So everything looking pretty normal. The Gateway Scout again coming from Disc. So nothing too crazy. Disc going to be a little annoying with the probe to, try and get those drones to not mine the proper mineral nodes. This is what the top tier pros do to really mess with their opponents down in Masters
Really
where we are.
Top tier pros. We'll just we'll go and make their probe do a heart path in the main base instead.
I used to do that against Zergs every time with my SCV scout. I would heart path around, like I would patrol it around the third base. But now that I'm not really SCV scouting as much anymore, I've gone away from that.
Yeah, it's a shame, but there with growth you have to kill your darlings. You have to do away with the things you love to grow. So it's good.
Yeah, you know, if you want to grow as a player, sometimes you gotta stop massing Banshees for a while, realize that they're not that good, and then find out like 5 years later that Banshees are still kind of okay. So you go back to it, you revisit your roots from time to time. But for now,
it's like the hero's journey. You had to journey into the underworld and overcome your problems, and then come back stronger.
speaking of the underworld, this is a little off topic. Have you ever read the book series, The Sword of Truth, Terry Goodkind? It's a pretty cool series.
I have a friend who's really into those, but no, I've never read. I'm not really a big fantasy guy, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. We'll just leave it at that then. It's a fantasy series, and they talk about the underworld a lot in it. All right, Adept Scout coming across. He's going to see the third base at around the right time, I think. 3-minute third base. I guess it came up a little bit quicker than that, or started a little bit quicker. And drones
Already a
game.
very early commitment off of this Adept to be shading into the main and staying. I guess he's got enough dead space here that he's able to stay on the high ground here without losing too much. With that aggressive Queen Pull, it's going to chase him away pretty early, but he's seen everything he needs to see.
Yeah, almost a perfect scout. He knows the tech, he knows the queen count, the drone count, and now he's got 2 adepts that maybe he can harass with, pick off a few drones, and an oracle on the way. But the overlord does see it, so there's no surprise to Starkiller. He's going to know that it is an oracle that he's facing, and he actually picks off one of the adepts.
Yeah, it does lose a few Zerglings for it, but I mean, that's the whole point of these Zerglings. You don't care about these, right? You just want to chase away these Adepts. That takes the teeth out of this attack quite a lot, I think, losing that Adept. Maybe a little bit of miss micro there from Disc, but he's doing a lot. This is the hard point of this matchup for Protoss, because you need to be harassing, scouting, and really expanding at the same time. So you've got a lot on your plate here, and it's going to be a Roach Horn here from Starkiller. Looks like he might have a read on this, but putting spores in the main just to be safe as well. Only one Oracle so far, another one on the way. I have to see if he finds that damage.
Yeah, hopefully he gets a little bit more done last time, although he's not going to have the opportunity he had against Starkiller the same way that he had against Silky, where there wasn't any spores, and he kind of botched the micro a little bit, only got 4 or 5 kills with the 2 Oracles, which I imagine you want to get at least, 8 to 10 when you're going 2 Oracles. But, he'll get a couple of them here, but, the spores are going to chase these off really quick. He actually snipes the larva, too. That's a pretty smart play, right?
Yeah, killing those larvae is kind of like the silver medal. If you get the participation ribbon if you don't get the drones, but there weren't many drones there to begin with because Starkiller's on a low drone count. Notably, he doesn't have great creep spread as well, so he doesn't actually have a lot for Disc to kill, so he's kind of done the damage to himself. I think overall Disc isn't too unhappy about how this is going. Yes, he lost an Oracle, which is really bad, but Starkiller's on a relatively low drone count, and Disc has taken his third without any major issues here.
Look what's moving across the map right this second.
Yeah, this is going to be that very aggressive Roach and Queen all in. I think this is really great when your opponent opens for a Stargate. I don't know. I think Disc is thinking about just abandoning his third base here and bunkering up on 2 bases, which would keep him safe.
I love this, but at the same time, those Queens are going to take so long to get there. They're just now crossing the halfway part of the map, and 2 of them actually kind of mispathing a little bit. They're going to be on the wrong side. They're going to have to take a little bit of a longer trip, but yeah, this is going to be a very committed and strong attack, and it's going to be a very, very hard defense for our red Protoss player.
Disc needs to make sure that he engages before that pylon goes down, otherwise that battery is going to be absolutely useless. Yeah, it's going to go down, and the Queens are still not there, and he is getting the fight that I think he wants before the Queens get there, but really there is enough Roaches and Ravagers to be scary still. With the overcharge of the battery at the natural, this is going to make a lot of a difference, keeping everything alive, but now the Queens have joined, and now this Oracle's going to be all but useless.
Yeah, with the Queens there, they're going to be able to push back the Void Ray. The super overcharge, doing what it's supposed to do, keeping the Protoss units alive. But this is a lot of Zerg, still a lot of Queens here to protect these Ravagers and keep healing them up. But I think Disc is going to hold. He has just enough units. There's only some Queens left. All the Ravagers now are dead. Some Zerglings are going to come in to help out the Queens, but really, with the Queens being as slow as they are, it's going to be very difficult for them to actually get the attacks off that they want to get. Some reinforcing Zerglings are attacking the Stalkers, but I think Disc is held on.
And only barely, and he's got 12 workers up on his opponent. These queens all going down. Starkiller doesn't have a next step after this. He is transitioning, getting an evolution chamber and a lair, but he's so far behind in workers at this stage. With this Protoss now saturating this third base, Disc is looking to be in a fantastic position.
Yeah, you know what? That Nexus is looking a little bit tasty. He might be able to snipe that with these Zerglings, but, you know, at what cost? He's down in tech, he's down in upgrades, and he lost all of his queens, so he's not even going to have the reinforcing units he's going to need to hold any counter push. And nice force fields being thrown down on the Nexus to save it from the Zergling run by. I think this is going to be a very difficult game for Starkiller to come back from.
You're gonna want to heal up that Nexus ASAP. That could have been really devastating actually if he were to lose that Nexus. But now it's mining. He's getting the pylons back online, and I suspect that he'll be keeping his army quite close to that to make sure that it is safe. But as I say that, he's moving out, realizing he's got a great attack timing here. Doesn't have any real infantry upgrades, but I think he knows that since the Zerg just threw away a whole bunch of units on a low eco attack, he's not really gonna want to make any more units just now. He's gonna want to stay droning as much as possible, and he's gone up to 50 drones. So this will mean that there's an opportunity for Dis to do some surprise damage here, already picking off this Overlord and maneuvering himself into a great position by these rocks. There's no creep spread from Starkiller. This is looking like a very scary attack from Dis.
Yeah, there's only a few Ravagers out on the map, and even in this choke, the Ravagers might get a decent pile here and there, but there's so many sentries and stalkers and a couple of Immortals with a Prism. There's no way 4 Ravagers are going to hold this off. I think we're going to see a tap out very shortly from Starkiller. He's going to try and break through with as much as he can, but this is it.
Yeah, really nice call from Dis to not make the game go on any longer than it needed to. He held off that all in, and he took almost no economic damage, so he just bullied him out of the game immediately after.
Yeah, GG. We have Starkiller down 0-1 now. Disc taking that victory.
The chat is going wild for the super battery.
That
battery.
super battery. See, I thought he was going to try and use the super battery at the third base, but then he used it at the natural wall, and it got the whole duration off. It was so sick.
Yeah, and the Zerg really, I don't know. I can't help but feel that Starkiller should have backed off there. Once the battery started, maybe he didn't notice. I think this is taking people some time to adjust to this kind of thing, but the queens weren't quite there yet, so there wasn't really a reason for him to fight. He could have baited out that battery and then backed off, and that would have given him an opportunity for the queens to engage. But I mean, what do I know? I'm not a great Zerg player, but that's just where my Protoss brain goes.
Yeah, that battery is so cool. I really like it. I think that was so cool.
Yeah, I think I finally understand how to beat Zerg now. You just got to not lose any units and make a ton of stalkers with a shield battery, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, and you know what? Having a couple of them in key locations. I think we were talking about this the other day, where, you know, Protosses are going to find those magic spots where they can put the battery where it's just out of range of, say, the Ravager Biles or the Roach and Ravagers auto attacks. And where that battery it got its full duration off. It was behind a couple of gateways and kind of sandwiched in between a gateway and a cyber core, in a position where if he tried to go for it, Starkiller was going to lose his whole army for basically nothing, basically just getting the battery. He would lose everything. So it's cool to see the positioning of the buildings. Yeah,
I think Disc showing there that you can't build too many batteries against a Zerg all-in like that. He had a couple at the natural, he had one at the third base. Unfortunately, the pylon went down, but yeah, in the end, he had more than enough stuff.
All right, game number 2 on the way. It's going to be on Death LE. Starkiller is down 0-1. This is his tournament life here. He's got to win this to bring it back and try to advance from this group.
Yeah, and he's gonna want that pizza pie now, and I think he's pulling out all his best builds now. So that was looking pretty scary, but I have to see what he has for game 2.
All right, again in the upper left-hand corner in the blue trunks, his tournament life is on the line. It is Alpha X's Starkiller.
And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner of Death Aura, showing us how to hold that dirty Zerg cheese. He is Roots Disc.
Look at that pretty red Nexus. That's not the new one, is it? No, the new one's like gray, right?
I think that's the classic one. My favorite. I'm so boring. I like to keep everything on the default skins. Just, oh, they don't cut it for me, you know?
Yeah, I'm lucky. I play Terran, so we get some fancy schmancy shiny skins every season. They just get shinier and shinier, and it's great.
Yeah, I finally am playing on higher graphics. For 90% of my StarCraft career, I put everything on the lowest try-hard settings possible. But now that I'm streaming, I'm like, I'm not good enough to get away with this. I need to make it pretty. So I'm playing with the better graphics, and it is nice, and the skins look a bit better as well.
Yeah, one thing I do like about playing on the higher graphic settings, I actually have an easier time seeing observers and stealth units. And I've gone back and forth because players say, oh, it's easier to see it on the low graphics, but I actually find it a lot easier on like the medium or higher graphics to see those sneaky boys.
Yeah, I think there's like hybrid settings that some players use as well, where they tweak the settings and they tweak an INI file to maximize the visibility of cloaked units and things like that. But I've never found that those were really working for me, so I don't know. I don't think I'm a good enough player really for it to matter for me, to be honest. I just need to get better and no, I guess not worry about my graphics so much.
Yeah, the next step for me is trying to do that wheel in thing that you see the pro Terrans do, where they zoom in to find the stationary observers. I'm pretty good at catching them when they move around, but I never catch them when they're stationary, and that's a tough skill to get used to.
Yeah, I have my middle mouse wheel unbound, so it doesn't actually work to do that.
Oh,
so
no.
I have to with that anyway.
All right, well, we got the 2 adept opener, looks like, again from Disc, and just everything looking normal for Starkiller again. You know what? I thought we were going to see like a macro game out of Starkiller last game. It looked like he was going to be in a very good position to drone up really hard. He deflected the oracles. Okay, he even killed one of the oracles, and it was weird to see all the queens start moving across the map. I saw all those blocks going across and thought, oh my goodness, what is happening?
Yeah, and like it's important to remember that with this adapt, like you don't actually need to do any damage. If you get damage, it's great, but you need to keep it alive and scout with it. So he does commit all the way to the main base. I'm not a huge fan of this. He does get a kill with it, but he doesn't really have a clean scout on what's happening. There's some Zerglings moving across the map. We'll have to see how committed this is from Starkiller.
Yeah, he's got a big pack of Zerglings moving across, layer on the way, and now Phoenix first this time from Disc. So that's something new. We haven't seen a Phoenix opening from him yet. It's been mostly Oracles, so let's see what he can get done with that. He's definitely going to get at least one Overlord. I mean, that's usually the norm. There's no Overlord speed, so he might get a couple more, but we'll see how hard he commits to the Phoenix meme.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to see this build where you make one Phoenix to kill Overlords, then you make an Oracle, and you just lift a Queen with the Phoenix and zip away some drones. But actually, it looks like he's going to drop a second Stargate and really commit to this. So this is the other style that you can see, where you go double Stargate, make a ton of Phoenix, and potentially transition into carriers. There's a lot of new builds opening up with carrier play right now, so really intrigued to see what Disc has in store for this build.
Ooh, I'm so excited. Oh, I am so excited for double Stargate. Roddy would be so happy to see this. Double Stargate Phoenix. Oh, but a Hydra Den on the way. It's like Starkiller has a sixth sense. He saw the first Phoenix and thought, I need some anti-air. What's the best anti-air I got early or mid-game? Hydralisk.
But that's the thing, right? So if he does end up going for mass Phoenix into carriers, you're going to want to Spire at some point. So sometimes it can be a little bit awkward if you go for the Hydra timing attack and it doesn't work. You just kind of get caught out with a ground army against carriers, which is not ideal. So it's going to be a little bit of a cat and mouse game between these players with the tech choices to see if they can hide them. It's going to be hard for Starkiller to scout exactly what Disc is doing because the Phoenix are going to destroy those Overlords, right? So he's going to have to be guessing as to exactly what kind of air composition he's going to be dealing with and how to deal with it.
That's right, and look at this, two Oracles in production. Do you think we're gonna see some like full NA mass Oracle from Disc? Do you think that's gonna happen?
This is well, I mean, this already is mass Oracle. Really, he's making 3 off of 2 Stargates. I don't know how many more he'll make, but I think it's not unheard of to go up and make 5 or 6 Oracles. and even more than that, because if you can reach a critical mass against those Hydras, I haven't seen this in a very long time. But Disc has the multitasking to deal with this. He's already making oracles and he's harassing with the Phoenix at the same time. So it'll be really interesting to see how many he ends up making.
Yeah, he does get one queen. He's got to be careful with these Phoenix. You definitely don't want to lose that when you're doing a build like this because you're investing so much in that Stargate tech. He is, however, getting a robotics research bay. I think that's what it's called. The fancy one that gives you Colossus and Disruptors. But so I guess he's not investing too heavily into the Stargate, but just as I say that, he's getting 2 more oracles, so he's going up to at least 5 oracles. And
yeah, this is a very strange build.
I'm actually so excited because if he's doing like Oracle Sentry Colossus, that is so much light damage. That
But what are you investing your minerals into, right? Like everything that he's building costs gas, so he doesn't have a mineral dump really, and I don't know. It'd be intriguing to see what he does to round out his composition.
No, and look at this. He's getting a bunch of stasis wars at the third base, and maybe we're gonna see a nice little bait here as Starkiller wants to be aggressive with these Hydras and Banelings. He's gonna move in and
Starkiller won't fall for this. He's gonna send in a couple. Yeah. Oh, but one does go off and get 5 Hydras. This is massive.
That is a big deal. Those oracles with those supporting ground units are gonna do a lot of damage to the Hydras. Phoenix picking up the Hydras now. Oracle's doing damage to the remaining Hydras while Banelings soak up a little bit of damage and kill some of the ground units, but there's just not enough units here for Starkiller. Half of them being frozen right from the get-go, and now that they get unfrozen, it looks like, oh, actually the oracles are running out of energy.
Yeah, so he's retreating back to the shield battery, but now that the overcharge is finished, he's in a little bit of an awkward spot, stuck with only Phoenix and Stalkers against the remaining Zerg units, but with a little bit of an overcommitment into the second shield battery from these Zerglings. He's going to get a few probes here, but I think the Zerg is going to be cleaned up.
Yeah, a lot of the Zerg forces are down, and now we have a very even army supply with Disc taking a worker advantage, and now we have Starkiller droning up. He's going to get the Hydralisk range upgrade, which will help him a lot, I think, with this double Stargate build. But already, I think the transition is happening. He's getting Colossus with Thermal Lance. I think he's going to be done with the Stargate tech for now. And Lurkers are on the way from our blue Zerg.
Yeah, and I think this is important to notice that Disc has kind of set the tempo with the tech here by investing in these oracles really early, forcing out these Hydralisks. The Lurker Den is halfway done, but you can see that Starkiller is still investing into Hydras. He's still making the range upgrade. He's still making more of them. His Lurker Den is on the way, but he's already got Colossus coming out from his opponent. So these Hydras are going to go down and down in value. The more Colossus come out, it's really going to be the Lurkers that determine whether or not the Zerg is going to be able to clinch this fight.
Yeah, and if we look at the units lost right now, 3,000 minerals lost from the Zerg already, more than double what the Protoss has lost, and almost even on gas. So that was a very committed attack from Starkiller. He's not out of it yet, but he is going to have to do some climbing to get back into it as he's still behind in the workers.
Yeah, and he's staying on a very low drone count here at only 53 workers. He is going up to 4 bases, but he's producing lots and lots of Hydras, Lings, and Lurkers off of only 3 bases and 53 drones. Disc is going up 4 bases. He's got 69 workers, and he's got all of the things in his army that he really wants. Yes, the Lurkers are going to be difficult to deal with, but as long as he holds this next attack, I think he's going to be in a really nice position.
Yeah, those Lurkers are going to have to do insane amounts of damage. A couple of Oracle or Adepts going into the 4th base, but there's no drones there for them to really harass. So now this Lurker Hydra squad is going to have to make some magic happen. They're probably going to get actually a good position here on the 4th base. This 4th base is 100% going to go down. Gets canceled, so gives up that position. He still has a good economic advantage here. And now these Oracle or these Adepts getting some drone kills in the 3rd base. So they already.
And I think Disc didn't need to keep that 4th base alive, so he wisely just retreats and realizes actually that was just a pretend base, dude. You can go ahead and have that. I've got 3 bases, and he's only. I mean, there's no way for Disc to know this, but his opponent is still on 50 drones. So as long as Disc holds steady and creates a really scary army on 3 bases, I don't think that there's anything Starkiller will be able to produce off of his 50 workers to defeat it.
And Starkiller actually, maybe a bit of a misstep, gets a 2nd infestation pit. No, he does cancel it. Okay. He did have 2 in production, and it looks like he canceled one just in time.
Yeah, so everyone makes mistakes. I like pointing that out to people that I coach, that even at the highest level, you make some really basic mistakes in StarCraft. You see people, multiple Twilight Councils, multiple, like, you know, triple forges, completely forgetting upgrades, all kinds of things. And yeah, these players are no exception.
Exactly. Everyone is human. Everyone can make mistakes. And it's cool that the Oracle, we were talking about the decrease in energy for its revelation ability, so now it's gonna be able to keep an eye on those lurkers multiple times and be able to, it's gonna give Disc the ability to kind of reposition his army and better attack the Zerg.
Yeah, we're seeing a really, really high lurker count here. He's spreading out his lurkers really well, so it's going to make it difficult, as long as he continues that trend up, for the Oracle to get all of them with one revelation. But like you said, since that Oracle's been tweaked, it's going to make it a lot easier if they are spread out. If he has multiple Oracles, he should be absolutely fine.
Yeah, and this 4th base now finally going up, and look at this, we're still 20 workers behind for Starkiller. It's a little tough for Starkiller here on the economy side.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I do like about Starkiller here is that he's committing hard into the lurkers. It kind of reaches this critical mass with lurkers that the Protoss ground army becomes basically useless. If you have the range for them and if you have the upgrades, it can be really, really hard to engage as a Protoss. So you kind of want to transition into that Skytoss army, but oddly enough, even though he's on double Stargate, Disc isn't bothering with that. He's looking like he wants to commit to this ground push, and if he doesn't do any damage here, if he loses his army, this could actually be really scary.
Yeah, it's a scary army, but I don't know, that's a lot of lurkers, and he's going for the lurker range upgrade, and I just don't know if this ground army can fight that many lurkers.
Yeah, I think he finally is going to see all the lurkers in one spot now and realize, actually, this is way too many lurkers. This is all you're making. There is a run-by coming, but yeah, this is going to help reposition the army a little bit. He wants to just be poking around, getting the free damage where he can. He doesn't need to commit into a fight here. He's got the economic advantage. I like how Disc is playing this. I just hope that his patience continues into this late game.
Yes, he's going to be very patient and try to pick apart Starkiller. However, Starkiller has built a ton of static defense, and now actually Disc finding an opening. He's gonna get the 4th base and all the drones for free, pretty much, as there's no units on those side of the force fields. Gets the base.
Yeah, this is so devastating for Starkiller. He was trying to defend that Zealot run by it as natural, so his attention was split elsewhere, and this caused him just to lose that positioning battle with those lurkers, and he lost the 4th base completely for free.
It's really sad to see this much static defense get just run over by charged zealots. those 4 spine crawlers are not going to stand a chance against the 10 zealots in that base. So some units retreating to deal with that run by, but already doing lots of damage. A Dark Shrine and a Fleet Beacon on the way. We have +3 weapons for the ground and even +1 air upgrades coming. So it looks like Starkiller is going to be in a heap of trouble soon, as this transition for the Protoss is just going to get away from the ground army towards a more air-based army against these lurkers.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. When you're committing this much into the lurker army, the Protoss army at some point does just stop being able to engage you. So at some point you have to transition into Skytoss as Protoss. I mean, you just have to do it. And Disc is no stranger to that. So he did the damage that he could. He did probably the most damage he could do with the army that he had, containing Starkiller on three bases and down to 46 workers. This is so much damage with these run-bys.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage, but you know what? Starkiller is almost maxed, and if he can max on the army he wants, all it's going to take is one big engagement on his side for him to counterattack and do the damage on this side. Yeah, Disc has the econ lead right now, but lurkers have a lot of longevity to them, and if again he can get the engagement he wants, he might be able to pull a comeback.
Yeah, anything is possible, right? With the army control, with the power of the AoE of those lurkers, if the detection goes down, that's all. It's all, you know, you never know what Starkiller is able to pull out with that really scary looking lurker Hydra army. I don't think these run-bys into the main base, well, sort of these warpins, are going to do anything else now. He's got way too many spines building up. Even though he's only on 4 bases, he's got like 8 spines. Probably going to build more as well. Knowing that he's investing zealots in here, it's going to equalize things a little bit.
This is beautiful. All these spines in the main base. I love it.
The thing is, though, about these spines is that since he's on a lower economy than Disc can afford to just warp in these zealots all day long. He's on 5, 6, 7 bases, and he can throw away these minerals. He's got Oprah money, but Starkiller doesn't have that economy, so it's going to be a lot difficult, especially if he doesn't build spores with these. The DTs are going to get free swipes of these. This is just devastating.
Yes, and now is the time Starkiller has been waiting for. He's going to try and position on the Protoss side of the map. He's going to go for it with all these lurkers and force the Protoss units back. He can't deal with this constant harassment. Like you're saying, he can just keep warping in on his side of the map. So the lurkers instant burrow in between the third and the natural base of Disc, and they're just going to keep marching forward, and they have the high ground now.
Yeah, and now this is where it gets really hard because you don't have that carrier transition kicking in just yet. He does have 2 on the way. He's making a few disruptors, which is going to help him to trade against this, but he is in that sweet spot between 3 or 4 bases with those lurkers controlling everything. He's going to be able to just go and one-tap these bases with these Hydras.
Yeah, look at that. The Hydras actually get on top of the Stargates, and all of the carriers get canceled. And are we going to see a Starkiller victory? There's 2 carriers out right now. They cannot fight that many Hydras. This is the engagement we were talking about, or the positioning we were talking about, where Starkiller just has so many lurkers, and there's no way that this ground-based army can fight that many lurkers. We have, how many is there? There's 30 lurkers on this map.
Thing is, there's just no more mining happening for Starkiller. Disc still has a few bases out on the map, and his army is between the lurkers and them. So if he rebuilds his infrastructure, he could be in a decent position to remax here, but his army is looking way weaker now than Starkiller's.
Starkiller's still mining that third base. He has all that static defense there. So really, Disc is just, he's in between, he's in a rock and a hard place situation here. If these lurkers just keep moving up, like, how is he going to get storms off? How is he going to get disruptor shots off? How is he actually going to engage this army? There's so many lurkers. That's so much AoE. That's a lot of High Templar, though.
Yeah, and as soon as the High Templar come in range, they just get completely annihilated by those. The lurkers are death marching on to this base of the Protoss, desperately trying his best to delay this push, but there's so many storms going down now. All the High Templar have fallen. The Colossus are trying to engage, but these Hydras are now becoming a threat. Now that the AoE is gone from the Protoss, he is overcharging this battery, but now these lurkers are getting one step closer every single second.
There are so many lurkers still alive, even though we got some good storms and he's getting some decent attacks in. I think Disc he's lost too much at this point.
Yeah, slowly the gap between the 2 armies has started to fall. It's only 115 to 74 here, so he's closing a little bit. He's trying to escape with these probes and hold on this high ground here. Both players now only to really 1 mining base. There is another one for Starkiller, but it's not mining from yet. So as long as Disc manages to keep his cool here, he should be able to stay in the game, but things are looking very dire.
There's no way for him to deal with these lurkers. There's no way. There's only 2 carriers for that many Hydras. He just has to keep his Hydras back with the lurkers. He's got to be very careful because those Colossus can still do a lot of damage, but wow, this was the engagement we talked about. He did it.
Yeah, if Disc can manage to fight the Hydras just on their own, he should be okay, but I mean, as this goes on, the gap between the 2 armies is starting to shrink. That is the good thing for Starkiller. He's managing to fight small groups of these units, especially if these Hydras commit to harassing these probes. This is actually exactly what he needs. If he can get rid of these Hydras, the carriers will reign supreme. So all he needs to do is get a few good shots on this ball of Hydras without the lurkers killing his units, and he should be okay. But not if he donates 2 more Stalkers, and the nice little blink at the last second does help him survive.
Yeah, but now the lurkers have position on this base. They're going to be able to take out all the pylons in the Nexus, and now Disc does have a little bit of a bank. You know, Starkiller's not really mining anywhere. He's down to 32 workers, but really just on 1 mining base. But there's no way that Disc can fight this army. He can't rebuild his infrastructure.
Yeah, so he has enough bank right now to rebuild a Nexus and potentially some infrastructure if he can, but it's really going to come down to this fight, right? He needs to get these better engagements. He needs to be fighting the Hydras off on their own, but Starkiller's being so careful with these units to make sure that he's not overextending. He's not leading too many units to fight on their own. Does have a little bit of a fight here with the Hydras, but the lurkers are well in range.
Yeah, and you know, it's nice to see Disc getting a couple pickoffs on lurkers here and there, but it's just not enough, I don't think.
Yeah, now that army supply gap is starting to grow as Starkiller transfers drones to his other mining base, and he's going to be able to continue producing units. All of the infrastructure for Disc has been wiped out at this point, so he's going to have to completely rebuild it. He does have a little bit of a bank and a few gateways in his main base, so he could warp in some gateway units, but that's not what you want against this. You really need to start growing that carrier count.
Yeah, and Starkiller, he did lose a lot of structures in his main due to those DTs, but now all the infrastructure's back. He's going to be able to, like you said, keep mining his other bases and, you know, add to his army value. He's already got a huge army lead, and this is going to be very annoying. He's going to send lurkers to all the locations where Discus want to try and retake bases, and he's just not going to be able to take anything. He's going to try and get that corner base, or I guess the 3 o'clock base, but he hasn't been mining for so long.
Yeah, this is the thing though that I do worry about, because if Disc is able to go and fight those small packs of units on their own, pick them off one by one, and keep mining from that base, it might actually give him a chance to get a good engagement against this army. He does still have a Protoss Death Ball, which is nothing to be sneezed at. It really just depends how he chooses to engage and how he moves his army around the map. He needs to get a favorable engagement and then maybe 10 more in a row before he's able to get back into this game.
You know what I think Starkiller just noticed? He doesn't have a lair. He can't make overseers. If he can snipe the only 2 observers left on the map, there is going to be absolutely no way that Disc can fight this. He doesn't have a cyber core.
I love situations like this, especially if Starkiller hasn't realized this, right? I don't know if he's realized this win condition for Disc, especially because this Dark Shrine wasn't delayed by all that much, because he kept those gateways alive. He didn't have to completely restart from scratch on his tech, and now he's going to be able to start fighting these lurkers in the main base with this Warp Prism. This is what I was talking about. These are favorable engagements for for Disc now. He's going to start to whittle down these units, and he's going to be able to pick off these Overseers as well.
Yeah, but if we look at the supply, it's favoring Starkiller hard. He's made a lot of Hydralisks. He wants to fight, and he is going to go for it. Oh, no, he's not.
Yeah, a few Hydras going down there before as they lag. Well, the lurkers lag behind them. Now there's one mining base for Disc. He is defending it with his entire army here. Just a Warp Prism out with a few Archons trying to pick off Overseers here and there. A surprise fight with the detection being killed for Starkiller could keep Disc back in this game, but it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, he does have a few Overseers in production here, so he might try to just snipe the observers like we talked about. And if that happens, there's still no robotics facility for the Protoss.
Yeah, now that finally the Zerg army is moving out and closing the distance on this map, it's going to come down to the micro between these two players. The Warp Prism retreating, realizing he needs all hands on deck to fight against this attack. There is a Dark Templar being warped in. The carrier's trying to get some poking damage off on these lurkers, but they're going to be very careful burrowing and sniping these interceptors with these Hydralisks.
It really shows how much Starkiller respects his opponent right now, being at almost max supply with Hydra Lurker and not wanting to engage this army.
I do love this from Disc, though. He's being very cautious here, using the range of those carriers to and the Colossus to just pick away a few units at a time, do a little bit of damage here and there, just poking away, just getting a little bit done. And he needs to get a lot done, but the more of these units that go down, the more chances he has. He just needs to get that critical mass.
That's right. He's finally getting a robotics facility back, and he is at least mining minerals. He does have a decent gas bank. He has a couple of Dark Templar, but they're not really doing anything. I think they're just sitting at home in defense, but eventually he's going to have to start doing something to Starkiller's economy again, because, you know, he's starting to expand on the left side of the map, and if Starkiller just gets his economy up as well, I mean, he's already 10 workers ahead in this very low econ game, and being at the supply he's at, you don't want to let him come back into this and start adding Vipers to the mix.
Yeah, Disc making sure he's keeping his army active out on the map. He's looking for an opportunity to engage the trailing army, hoping that Starkiller will make a mistake in his movement at some stage. I think the great thing about at Disc's position right now is that Starkiller is giving him a lot of respect. So it's giving him a chance to get back in this game and create win conditions for himself. Another base coming down for Starkiller, though. He's on nearly double the supply. You've really got a lot to dig yourself out of here for Disc.
Yeah, he's got an uphill battle for sure. And you know what? There's a hive on the way now, so it's going to be Vipers from Starkiller. So that's going to put Disc on a clock, because once Vipers come out, that, you know, scary kind of Protoss army, even though it's a lot smaller, you start picking off a carrier, you start pulling a Colossus into all those lurkers or Hydras, and all of a sudden your army disappears very fast. That scary Protoss army.
He's got to be so careful with this Warp Prism. With that Hydra range and speed, they do so much damage. It's only going to take one more volley to just completely shoot that out of the sky.
Yeah, and This just not really knowing what to do with the rest of his army. He's just trying to control that high ground as he should right now. He can't let the Hydras and the Lurkers get up on there. But right now, Starkiller just content with sitting at home and waiting to get his Vipers. Here we go. We got 3 in production.
I love this from Disc. He's going for double Robo Disruptor here. This is going to be the comeback unit that you need, right? It's going to be great against the Hydras. It's going to be okay against the Lurkers if you manage to get the Micro there. He doesn't have time or resources to transition into carriers, so he's making the most of what he has. And if there ever was a comeback unit in StarCraft, it would be the Dark Templar. But second, and it's a close second, it would be that Disruptor.
Exactly. If either player missteps, whether it's the Vipers pulling important units or if it's the Disruptors, hitting a huge clump of Hydras, either player can throw this game now. It's really, again, any player's game after what appeared to be almost a weird base trade. It's evening out 26 minutes into this game, which is just absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, it's looking like a kind of a mid game here where both players just started in a different spawn location. So yeah, the longer this goes on, honestly, the more I favor Disc. Not because things are looking good for him, but because he was so far behind, and Starkiller is really just giving him a chance to get back in, right? He's not really transitioning into anything himself. He's just making more Lurkers, getting more ranged upgrades, building more spines, doing more of the same. But Disc is now getting a chance to remax, and if Disc can remax, then anything can happen.
Yeah, we're seeing that army supply now starting to get closer, and ooh, nice little pull on that Warp Prism. So now Disc sees that there's Vipers on the map. He has to make something happen, and he's going to try. He is engaging on some Lurkers, though. This space is already mined out. All that's really here is the Infestation Pit. He does get a couple Lurkers, though, and like you said, he keeps picking things off little by little. Oh, the rest of the tech's in the back.
Does get that Infestation Pit, gets a few Lurkers for his troubles, but now the big boy army is coming to catch up, and this Observer is very, very precious.
Yes. How many Observers do we have on the map right now? I think we have 2 still. They do have Observer speed, so they can get away very quickly. And ooh, a storm on a couple of Lurkers. He's gonna have to be careful with those Vipers, though. I think that the Viper interaction now with High Templar, I think High Templars can outrange.
This is going to say this is an overextension from those Hydras. That was giving Disc a chance to go in on those, but looks like he pulls them away at the last second, and now both players are posturing here for a little bit of a Mexican standoff, and we might be seeing another big fight pretty soon.
Yeah, Starkiller now, though, starting to get a very big bank, and Disc has been kind of stuck on these bases, and very good hits.
Those are beautiful Disruptor hits, and again, this is going to prompt Starkiller to back off and realize, actually, he's got units that are good against me now. This is looking pretty scary. He could get some big abducts there, but he doesn't see any reason to force the issue. If he's got enough money to make a lot more Lurkers, it's going to make things a lot more difficult for Protoss.
11 more Lurkers on the way, and we might end up seeing another time where Starkiller tries to circumvent the army and get position with his Lurkers. We might see him try to do it again.
Yeah, and this is so difficult for Disc because all Starkiller has to do is run up and burrow his Lurkers, and his army is so effective in doing that. But he needs to hit the perfect Disruptor shots, he needs to use those storms, he needs to kite everything away. It's very, very precious. You need to make sure you're staying at that maximum range. But beautiful Disruptor shots going up, killing quite a few Lurkers, and he's going to retreat into these storms now. A few Archons being abducted into the army, but I think that was a very good trade for Disc.
Yeah, you know what? He's making a lot of use out of his spellcaster. He's getting off good feedbacks on the Vipers. The Vipers, having to get closer to those High Templars to pull them. But the Templars having a little bit higher range with their feedback, they're actually able to, counter the Viper pretty well.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that interaction comes into play a whole lot here, because those I forget what they're called now. The Vipers are pretty high energy, and they could be taking a lot of damage here. Big Disruptor balls kill 3 of those Lurkers, nearly a 4th. Beautiful connections from those Disruptors.
Yeah, those Disruptors are just getting a ton of value, killing a Lurker or 2 or even 3 every time they shoot off their energy Novas. And now, misstep from Starkiller. He's going to lose a lot of units to those Disruptor shots and the Colossus. Maybe a big throw here coming from Starkiller, but he does get some pulls on the Disruptors. It's utter chaos as both players are almost dead even in army supply.
Yeah, and for the first time in, I was going to say, like 10, maybe 15 minutes, Disc has actually equaled out the army supply there. Yeah, he's down a bit now that he got a few abducts go off, but the fact that he's managed to close that gap, he's got a high-quality army, he's got equal upgrades, he's doing counterattacks now. Finally, Disc is able to get off the ground, and he's starting to do the attacks that he wants to do, and now I fear for Starkiller.
I fear for Starkiller, but it's not over yet. Oh, another huge disruptor hit. That is if that is not the best combat unit in the game, I don't know what is. But Starkiller is actually denying the mining from the second base that Disc has, so it's still anyone's game here. Starkiller finally using his mineral bank, but both players with a pretty much even army value. Lots of Hydras. They're actually going to go on the counterattack and maybe try to get in to the Protoss base. Disc now moving across, trying to make something happen.
Yeah, so Starkiller splitting off his unit here, not keeping them all in one big ball, which I think is probably going to put a little bit more pressure on Disc on the other side of the map because he doesn't really have a lot to defend his main base. But with those DTs, I think he might be able to warp some in and clean things up.
Yeah, 3 DTs are going to take out one Spore Crawler and one Spine very easily. And now Starkiller's in a defensive posture while attacking with Lurkers and Hydras on the other side. He's going to take out all the tech once again.
Yeah, this is the scary thing. So these DTs will be able to clean up these Hydras and Lurkers, but not before this base goes down. And this is very, very precious for Disc at this stage. He does manage to keep both of his one of his robos alive and kill a base on the other side of the map. And now things are looking a little bit better for Disc, but he still has a lot of rebuilding to do.
Yeah, and Disc is actually doing a lot of damage here to Starkiller's economy. Starkiller not really mining anywhere, and now with the disruptors shooting off and getting a lot of damage done every time, I think it might be a matter of time before Starkiller is out of this one.
But Disc has now gone down to one worker, Mike. He's got so much damage by that Hydra counterattack. He's all in with this attack finally now, but he's got a great army.
He does. He's actually behind in the army supply right now, but he gets a lot of the Templar there. And Starkiller canceling a bunch of units, realizing he needs some more drones, but look at that. Yeah, one probe left. And this is going to be very tough. Starkiller does not have enough, I think, to fight this. He's going to need to be able to control the ramps and make sure that he does not eat any more disruptor shots. I think one or two more big shots will end the game.
Yeah, and I love that Disc is continuing to be aggressive here, knowing that he's down to one worker. This is about as all in as you can get, guys. He's not even going to be able to resaturate this base anytime soon. Big disruptor shots going off, getting nice connections here. Double the army supply now for Disc, and he's pushing on into the natural. It's a GG from Starkiller and a victory for Disc.
What a crazy, crazy game. Disc is your second player to advance in the Miserable Cup from Group A.
Yo, dog, I heard you like throws. So we put a throw in your throw so you can throw while you throw while you throw. There was so much back and forth in that game. Absolutely brilliant.
That was probably the craziest game of Protoss versus Zerg I've ever seen. That was absolute madness.
Yeah, really, really nice. Patient play from Disc there. I think both players are going to kick themselves when they watch that replay to realize how far ahead they were at different stages. And I really just think Disc just took ages there.
Disc says he doesn't think it's possible for him to be more NA this morning. Oh, that's just wonderful. All right, we're going to get Disc in here for a quick interview and congratulate him on advancing to Championship Sunday. He'll be playing against the #1 advance from Group D, and it's going to be tough. He's going to be playing against someone really good. We'll see what his thoughts are on that.
Hello?
Hello, Disc. Welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you. Doing okay. Pretty tired, but pretty okay. I'm doing okay.
Doing all right. Well, congratulations. You're the second player to advance in the Miserable Cup.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
How do you feel about that last game?
Yeah, that was a game. Let's put it this way.
It
I
was a
think
game.
that was awful, honestly. I had control of the game like after his push at my third base when it failed. I think I had control over the game entirely, and I managed to somehow someway miss his army, and then he went into like a base trade or something, and he had like what 25 lurkers or something. I don't know how many he had, but way too many for my liking, and ended up being this very weird gimmicky game at the end. I'm surprised I actually managed to win that one. I thought I threw it and it was over, but he gave me so much time to make like disruptors. I don't know why he gave me that much time, but I guess he was just afraid of attacking. Could have just A-clicked me multiple occasions and win the game actually, but I guess he was too afraid or something.
Yeah, you know what? He had 30 lurkers actually,
30?
to be exact. He
Oh
had
my
30
God.
lurkers, and after that play, we were all thinking he has this. He found the engagement he needed to win the game and to pull ahead, and he was so far ahead in army supply, but you were able to hold that ramp at the new base that you took, and he was just so scared to move up that ramp and gave you a chance to come back and rebuild those AoE units, and those disruptor hits, oh my goodness, they were amazing.
They really were. Yeah, as you said, he just like he was too afraid to go up the ramp. Like 30, because I like what my army was like 2 Colossus, a bunch of Archons, some Stalker in it or something. Like nothing impressive against Lurker. They can take a lot of shot before actually dying. So he could have just A-clicked multiple times. It didn't happen though. So pretty lucky with that, I guess.
Yeah. So you're gonna be playing against the winner of Group D, and
Okay.
I don't know if you heard from the last interview, but Group D has Nina, Future, Patty Mac, and Caleb Aratius. Is there any players in that
Okay.
group you would prefer to play? Anyone that you don't want to play against?
Usually I'd say any sort of PvP I like to avoid them because I think it's super like RNG gamble, but at the same time with the new battery, I feel a lot more confident in PvP now. So I guess I don't mind as much. I'd say Caleb for sure. I don't mind playing the guy. I know how he plays most of the time, so I mean I really don't mind playing him. Maybe someone to avoid Future for sure. I'm confident in my PvT, but I just think Future is super good right now. So I'd like to avoid him if possible, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you know what? I think that seems to be the consensus with a lot of players talking to them prior to this tournament is that they're all pretty afraid of facing Future right from the get-go. So it'd be really cool to see him playing against everyone, really anyone.
For sure.
So any advice to any aspiring Protosses out there on playing against styles like this?
Well, yeah, I guess. First of all, if you want to win BlizzCon, don't pick Protoss, play Zerg. But jokes aside, I would say when it comes down to engaging like lurkers or any sort of games like this, I would say just come from many angles. Try to attack from like 2-3 direction at the same time. That's your best shot versus lurkers. If you go in a straight line, you will most likely always lose the fight. Even if you have 10 immortals in your army composition, like Storm and all that, you will most likely always lose the fight. So I'd say like just overall, come from many different directions to deal with lurkers. Other than that, just like I think PvZ is all about scouting. Because again, these 2 games, I think he tried to do some very weird timing attacks to me, and I was able to scout it by just having like Oracle movement and map pressure and just doing stuff like that. So I think it's very key in the matchup to be active with your Oracle early on to not die to gimmicks like that. So then you can go on 3 base, 66 probes, and have a good time really from there. So yeah.
Yeah, the Oracle scouting was excellent in that second game. And tell me about this double Stargate 5 Oracles. Was that something that was like planned out? Was it kind of like you were feeling it on the fly? You didn't want to go double Phoenix? You wanted to go lots of Oracles, then transition into the Colossus? Or talk about that a little bit.
Okay, sure. So like my thought process here, my game plan for that game, I was like, I'm gonna go for double Stargate Phoenix play up to like 8 Phoenix, transition to Colossus. It's not really a common play, but it's just something I like to do. And then I saw his very fast lair and also like very fast Hydralisk then, and I was like, oh shit, if I keep making Phoenixes, that's actually a way for me to lose the game. Because whenever he's gonna do his push, he's gonna have like a lot of Hydralisk, and Phoenix can, yes, they can lift a lot of Hydralisk and kill them rather quickly, but they also, Phoenix kind of die very quickly as well. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I gotta switch up. I cannot stay on Phoenix, so let me make Oracle so I can try to lay down as many stasis ward as possible. And the Oracle DPS itself on any sort of units like Lynx, Banelings, Hydralisk, they do a lot of damage overall. So with a new battery as well, I was just like, that should be like I should be able to ult with that. And if I get a little bit lucky, I will get a good stasis ward, which I did on the right side. So yeah, and the plan was also to go Colossus behind that no matter what. So yeah, that was not part of the plan, like the reaction that happened with the oracles and so on. But technically, that was double Stargate Phoenix play I wanted to do. I just canceled the project and adapt my gameplay towards what was happening during the game. That's what happened.
That's awesome, because you know what? We saw you building the oracles after the 3 oracles. We're like, oh my goodness, he's gonna go full light damage, like really good against light units. It's gonna be Oracle Colossus, charge zealots, and sentries to section it all off. And you had the awesome stasis wards. It was a very cool playstyle to watch and to commentate on. So thanks for showing that to all of us. Is there anyone?
My pleasure.
Is there any links or any social media stuff you would like to put up on Twitch or anything? Anything you'd like to say to the people watching?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me for the tournaments. I appreciate that, and I think it's GSL format and all that. I think it's really fun anyway. So thank you very much for this. If maybe just not a sellout thing, but like I stream basically on a daily, so twitch.tv/discsc2. That's where you can find me, see more games like this, perhaps if you're lucky, or better games, hopefully. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Yeah.
Right on, man. Thanks for coming on and chatting, and really happy to have you in the tournament. I really hope you do well on Sunday. And yeah, I think that's all I've got for you. I think that's it. Thanks again.
Well, awesome. Thank you very much, man.
Good luck to you.
All right, bye-bye.
Awesome. All right, well, sorry that we missed out on 2 series, guys. You know what? Sadly, one of our players was not around. Hopefully that is not the case for Group B. Tomorrow we have Vindicta, Rob, Macintac, and Epic. So that should be quite the epic group.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how that group plays out. Rooting for Rob though.
Rooting for Rob, the one Protoss. He's the Protoss hope of that group. We got 2 Terrans this time, so even if one doesn't show up, I'm gonna commentate on some Terran one of these days.
Hey man, my boy Disc made it out of Group A. So in the matches that I casted, I got a lot of PvZ, and I got some good pointers as well. So I couldn't be happier about that.
Yeah, I asked that question just for you, Dan. I wanted you to take some
you,
notes on that anti-lurker micro or engaging.
Yeah, it is one of those things though that like as someone who's like masters but not good, I'm like yeah, it's just like someone telling you in Counter-Strike like, yeah, just click on their heads. It's like yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know I'm supposed to click on the heads. I'm just bad at it.
Just don't fight the lurkers.
All right, well, I think that's gonna wrap things up for us, guys. It's gonna end faster than I expected. I guess that will happen when we don't play 2 of the series, but you know, we have 2 guys that are awesome advancing. We have Silky and Disc. I think those are the expected players to advance. They'll be going on to the championship Sunday to play in best of 5s against the 2 people to advance from Group D. So we'll find out when that happens on, I believe Saturday is when Group D plays.
I can't wait.
Yeah, Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure casting this with you today. Would you like to type out anything in Twitch chat here for people that can follow you, your Twitter, Twitch, all that stuff, YouTube? It's been awesome having you.
Yeah, sure, man. So a lot of people from my stream are here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Red Dane. So I'm twitch.tv/reddain. I stream pretty much every day here. I stream UK hours from like 1 o'clock British summertime, which is, what time is that for you? It's 5 hours ahead of you. So like 8 in the morning for you. So if you get up and have your coffee, you can watch me lose some ladder games. Big thing about my stream, I do like coaching and casting pretty regularly. So it's not the highest level StarCraft, but we like to bring viewers in and do lots of fun stuff, coaching, like basically free coaching and casting, anything like that. So if that sounds interesting, go ahead and check me out. And I just want to say thank you very much to Mike. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for thinking of me. It's been great to cast, get some more casting experience, and I look forward to seeing the rest of this tournament.
Yes, sir. Go follow Dan. He is a very smart fellow, and he is a lot better at articulating himself than I am. If you want to learn Protoss, he can teach you, and he plays on the EU server all the time, so he's probably just better in every way. So
I
go
don't
check
know
him
about
out. Go check him out. He's a good dude. And now we need to find someone to host. And I am not seeing anyone except for like the big boys Stream and DreamHack qualifiers for EU. So what's the plan here? Who do we look for?
Can I make a suggestion, Mike? I have
Absolutely.
a friend of mine who's streaming right now. It's XN TV, EXEHN TV. He's a Italian Grandmaster Protoss player, and he's a really nice guy.
Sorry, did you say Exen?
EXEHN. I'll type it out in Discord.
I think I found him. Yes, I did. Grandmaster Protoss free coaching. Look at that. If anyone wants to learn how to play Protoss, if those tips from Disc were not enough, we're going to find you some more here with our boy Exen TV. So that'll be it from us. We'll see you at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. I'll be starting the broadcast at 10:30, but first games should be starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Thanks again, and have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm going to sleep because I just finished night shifts last night. So Dane, I thank you so much for carrying the cast today. I know I made a lot of kind of stutters and wasn't really myself, but tomorrow I think I'm going to be very well rested for Group B. So hope to see you guys there, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Because I was supposed to raid in WoW now, but if I get a big raid, I might just ditch my guild right now. I mean, yeah. Let's see what happens. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I don't know. Let's keep playing. Misery Cup. Oh, Misery Cup. Oh. Oh. 93 people. Thank you very much, Misery. Thank you very much, Misery.
All right.
Thank you.
We all good?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's an A, Dane. Yeah, this
All
is
right.
an A, Dane. It's an A.
Oh man, that was so hard. Part of me is a little bit happy that we didn't have to do 2 more series, but
Because it's the first.
If it was
I
gonna
re-
happen on any day, that's the day, right?
yeah, exactly. So I would have rather had those series, but that's all right.
I mean, those
Yeah,
two
no,
were
you
gonna be
nailed
like
it,
5
dude.
minutes anyway, I think.
I did everything I could have done to get him to play. Like I emailed him, I messaged him on Battle.net, and I added him on like 3 different Discord channels. So it's unfortunate, but what can you do?
Yeah, I'm assuming something important came up.
Yeah.
Not that your tournament isn't important, but like I'm assuming
Yeah.
something like, you know,
But like, yeah,
Real life.
more real life important happened probably. But thanks again, Dan. Are you available tomorrow?
yeah, I should be okay. Why do you not have someone for tomorrow?
I might have Steadfast, but I haven't spoken to him in a few days. So if I don't have him, then I would love to do this again with you. And even if, you know, if he cancels, I would be more than happy doing the rest of this with you. I think we're starting to gel pretty well. And yeah, it'd be really cool to have you on for the rest of it if you're able to. I know there's one day you can't because it's your wife's birthday. I think that was
Yeah.
Saturday, you said, right?
So I'm not sure
Yeah.
what I want to do now.
So I can
So
probably...
Saturday's a no-go, but I should be good for the rest of the week. I should be all right.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
So just let me know.
Yeah, it'll be early in the morning for me, like 7 a.m. So I think you usually start streaming around 7 or 8 my time, right?
Yeah, so it should be pretty much synced